Man, I get shook by that intro every time. It's just like, holy shit.
Yeah,
Is this for real?
it's your stuff, man.
Yeah. Hey, welcome. This is episode 22. My goodness, we have gone this far. That is Miranda Gagne, my hostess with the mostest, my tech girl. And with me today, I have LSAT tutor extraordinaire, actor, producer, and former college buddy. This is Matt DuMont.
What's up?
What's good, people? We were talking about, before we got on camera, just how intense the BFA program was and getting in, and how I guess I'll jump to it. It changes people, some for the better and some for the worse, and some they're just standing still. And
yeah, I mean, I think so. The BFA in Marymount was how we met, and we met in our freshman acting class. And I just remember, even in orientation, we're all sitting in the Teresa Lang Theater, and there is all the faculty up on the stage, and they're like introducing themselves. And I don't remember who it was, but I think it might have been David Mold, who has since moved up in the I believe he's the head of the acting program now.
Long overdue.
Yeah, long overdue. He's a fantastic teacher. I remember, I think it was him, where he was like, look around, look to your left, look to your right. Both those people probably won't be here by the time you graduate. Yeah. And that's so true. I remember there was like 4 sections of BFA Acting 1, and there's only like 2 of BFA Acting 2. Yeah. And so it's like, after that first year, half the people are gone.
It's true.
They start transferring out. They're like, hey, this isn't for me. New York City isn't for me, whatever it is.
For us, it was 4-3-2-2, like all 4 years.
Yeah, I didn't do all 4 years.
4-3-2. I started year 3, and then you remember I had a job. I had the 9-to-5 in the doctor's office, cardiology practice.
Yeah, you remember you showed up in your scrubs all the time, and I was like, this dude is always in scrubs. It's awesome.
I was able to just get away for an hour and 20 minutes because I was across the street. But if you remember, the third year was 2 years. I mean, 2 hours. Yeah. And the senior is 2.5, and I just couldn't fucking do it. I was on acting probation too, whatever the hell that was. I just didn't. Honestly, when I got
that at my first school.
Yeah. But I mean, for me, it was just like one of those things where I like, if any, then are they even paying attention to my second scene right now? Maybe I'm interested, and maybe I'm not, or whatever.
Yeah, I found the acting program at Marymount was fantastic for the right individual. It's certainly not for everyone, but if it's the right fit for you, just like any school, if it's the right technique for you, if it's the right organization for you, if you're in the classroom with the right other people, if the right person up there is guiding the class, it has a fantastic outcome. Yeah. You know, if you're willing to put in the work and it's the right fit for you. It was great for me. And I actually went there with the intention, because I transferred to Marymount. My first 2 years were at a different university in Ohio. Yeah, and I was in the BFA musical theater program there because I was a singer dancer. Like, that's what I did. And I didn't like the constraints of a BFA program, like having to get permission to audition for programs outside opportunities outside.
We weren't allowed to do outside work during the academic year
at all.
Right? Yeah.
At all. And so I didn't like that. And I actually went to Marymount with the intention of doing the BA theater performance. And they called me and were like, hey, we liked your audition. We think the BFA would be a good fit for you. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I mean, like, whatever, I'll do it until I don't want to do it anymore. And I did it for the first 2 years, and then transferred to BA. And I took more acting classes in my 3rd and 4th year as a BA, just what I wanted to do, rather than what the BFA like 3rd and 4th year was. I took like 2 or 3 acting a semester.
That was so productive too. I mean, acting for the camera is productive. If you're moving to California, it's something that's not in the BFA program.
And
Michael Chekhov technique. The professor's a little bit more forgettable. I remember you had
I had Swain. I had Liz Swain, who is out here and actually directing a show that I'm going to go see shortly because I have friends in it.
You got to tell her I said hi. She's the one that auditioned.
If she's there, I will.
When I auditioned to get there, she was
your host,
Reinhardt and Brian Reinhardt and
I had Niles for mine, and he was just like, I actually thought I didn't get into the program after my audition because, like, Marymount's audition program is like a mock class. You do warm-ups and all that kind of stuff, but then you sit in a group and you audition, so to speak, by doing your monologue. But they give you critiques and feedback right at then, or at least they did.
Yeah.
You know, and
Richard does. Yeah.
They redirect, and Richard was like, what are you doing? Like sitting there being like, you're not a 40-year-old woman. Why are you even doing this monologue? Like he was ripping people out. And after mine, he was like, okay, I don't need to see it again. And I was like, I did not get into this program.
Yeah, you're like, all right, I'm out.
I'm out. But fortunately I did.
And I think, listen, the proctor is important too, because I was a returning adult student, so it was returning adult student.
Right, because you were military before.
Yeah, military, and then
thank you for your service.
Did a cup of coffee at Hunter College.
Cup of coffee.
Yeah, my major is volleyball. I didn't go to class. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't go to class. So it was one of those things. I was at Marymount, and then started dating this girl who worked at the bookstore, Laura Cressley.
At Marymount.
Yeah, she was, and I was like,
I
think I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, well, you got to audition. I'm like, no problem. I'm like, she's like, this guy doesn't have a fucking clue.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to tell him because I think his unassuming nature is going to be a better audition.
Yeah.
And then the morning of, you know how they do dance first and they do musical theater first before they do the actors training?
Yeah, right.
You saw people running out of the room crying. Like a mother hugging him. Pat Simon's like, I can't deal with this.
I wasn't gonna name him.
I'm just gonna take a break. I'm just gonna take a break. And you guys, when you get your stuff together, come back. I was just like,
I'm gonna say that
fucking shit. This is a reality show.
I didn't have the pleasure of being in Pat Simon's classes. I did hear that she gave people a rather healthy dose of reality.
Yeah,
and
super necessary.
How you do that. There are good ways and bad ways of how you do that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there was probably a mix of that. But I know that our musical theater program at Marymount has grown substantially since we were there. They have a major program in it now. It's not just a minor. And the success coming out of Marymount's musical theater program. I mean, we have people on Broadway, like from every graduating class.
There was an article, and I forgot the magazine, the 7 fastest ways to the Tony Awards.
Oh yeah, was Marymount
number 2?
Fuck yeah!
It's ridiculous.
Can I curse on this?
Yeah, it's a fucking pie.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Fuck yeah, Marymount. I'm
Joey Diaz is here in spirit. Right? Who's that guy with the? You ever hear Joey Diaz? This comedian. He is not for everybody. He's one of these guys. What's up, cocksuckers? He's on stage.
That makes me think of George Carlin.
Yeah.
Like whenever I think of like just gratuitous cursing for the sake of pointing out the ridiculousness of our like uptight
and the realness and the same realness. Joey Diaz, is Joe Rogan's favorite comedian, and that's saying a lot. But
I think I recognize him.
The cool thing about him is he doesn't remember names, and the way he describes the person, so you could help him with a name. That's even funny. He's like, "Oh, who's that guy with the one nut riding the fucking bike? What was his name?
Lance
Armstrong. So
that is.
He's one of those guys. He is fucking hilarious. But so for those of you listening, Marymount is one of these elite BFA and BA programs. At the time when Matt and I were there, they were ranked number 2. There was Juilliard, and there was us, and Central Park's in the middle, just dividing the two. We used the hell out of their library though.
Yeah, I mean, I was over at Lincoln Center all over. I mean, the Lincoln Center. The Library for the Performing Arts is a gem of resource. I mean, one of the most valuable things that I learned from going to college, and this has nothing to do with Marymount per se, was going to school where your career has like a huge impact. And so like theater, you think about New York, right? I mean, film and TV, you think about LA. Like if you want to go to school for those things, it makes sense to go where your future job is, like build your network. There's so many resources that about. Like I had a library card for the Performing Arts Library because I was a research student, because I was. Like we had to do research. We had to go over there for assignments and stuff that other people didn't even know existed. They didn't know this. Like you can go watch the original production of Chorus Line.
Right.
which is like fundamentally changed musical theater, for instance.
Yeah.
You can go and experience those kind of films. I went there and watched films before I went to shows, like 5 or 6 years into my professional career as research, because that's the point, right?
It really is. Yeah.
It was amazing. It was an amazing opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, again, for everybody listening, this is, at Marymount, this is year one stuff, right?
Yeah,
We get you. Let's say you
exactly.
get assigned a scene, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
Anything.
Give me a memory of what you did year one. I did Suburbia with,
oh gosh.
shit. I did Diana's Son. I did Stop Kiss.
I wish I
So-
remember. I feel like we did a scene together, but I don't remember
did.
what it was.
We
never
wish the
worked.
fuck we did. No, no, we did Chekhov technique. We did scene work together with that. And,
Right.
But
I thought we worked together
no,
in
I
the
had
first year.
McGuire. I had
Morgan.
Morgan
Oh my
McGuire.
gosh.
She's
Yeah, right.
cool. She's still chill.
Yeah.
Didn't want to, that. I didn't like her back then. I was like, this girl is the biggest fucking flake I ever met in my life. But it's weird when you actually get around to actually talking to people.
Right.
You realize
When you actually get to know them, not
Yeah.
judging by the cover.
That's what we get for being on this podcast. I'm gonna be
Yep.
honest about everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
Listen, the only person all 4 years that was straight up and down like 6 o'clock that I met was you. All right, I know you're going to grad school, and I'm like, got to get this motherfucker on the show.
I'm gonna try.
So, yeah, but she's one of these people where, like, you say hi, she's like, at the time, and I'm like, she canceled out on me on the scene one time, and because she said she had a cold or whatever, so I bought her chicken soup for the next scene. Just as a gesture,
Yeah.
I want peace,
That's
I put my hands.
That's also kind of
No, but
shady.
No, but
Just in case.
no, but she's one of these rigid characters back then.
Yeah,
She's
for
mad
sure.
young. She's 18, just turned 18
Right.
from whatever, Clovis, California, comes to New York, doing a scene with someone twice her fucking age. You know what I'm saying? You tap her on the shoulder, she like winces, and I'm just like bitch, I'm not gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
Well, not outside of the scene. But it was one of those things. I brought her chicken soup, and I was like, "Here, for our next scene."
Yeah.
Thought this would be nice, and she's like, "Oh no, you keep it." And I'm just like, "Okay, all right, maybe that's how they do things in
It's
California."
not
yeah, had a good relationship with security. Like,
Yeah.
bro, you want some chicken soup?
the.
So, goddamn, I'm too loud on this mic.
You're
Sorry.
good, man.
But it was one of those things where, and we're gonna get to this whole humanity thing where you have this initial perception of someone, and then you talk to them, you understand them, you see maybe a little bit about their past that shapes who they are today, and then they're not a bad person,
Yes.
For me, my whole life I wasn't trying to be a great guy, I was trying to be a good guy. That's why people always judge me in a pleasant eye. I'm not out there trying to be more than what I am.
Yeah. I remember being like, because I was also a transfer student, so I wasn't 18 when I arrived in New York City. I mean, I think I must have been closer to 20, 21, which is not a huge difference, but like
how you look now.
Thank you. Please go on. But it is a pretty big difference having gone, like, I went to school for 2 years elsewhere. Like, I lived on my own for 2 years elsewhere, done those kind of adulty things.
Right.
Like I was responsible for cleaning my own damn dishes.
Yes.
And I think that a lot of people, especially coming from somewhere else, coming to New York City, like, I'm a Midwest boy. And so coming to New York City, I was like, whoa, this is a lot. Thank God I am not 18.
Right.
Like, I just can't imagine. I can't imagine making that kind of plunge. That being said, I think every single person should spend 1 year living in the shithole that is New York City.
Absolutely.
But in their 20s, because after that, it's like, what are you doing? Like,
did you live in the dorms?
I did. I lived in the dorms on 55th, on the 5th floor. What? I lived with an RA, Andy Stokan, which was awesome.
He's the worst. All right, ever and
I-
best
he-
and best. Depending on what age you are,
Yeah,
or who's your roommate, he's
he
the
was
best.
super chill.
Yeah.
But like living with an RA was always kind of like, are you a narc? Are you a narc? Like, I can't invite you to my room for drinking because you might go narc. And then of course
Why is that door closed?
Yeah, exactly.
Because we were fucking. Sorry, go ahead.
But no, I had him and a dude named Andrew Burrow, who was from Oklahoma. And he
Your
has gone
hometown.
on. No, I was born in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I was born there, but I was raised in Northeast Ohio. I don't really remember Oklahoma, but
Okay.
he was from Oklahoma, super nice guy, and then our other roommate was Ryan Francis, who was my personal roommate.
Right.
And it was the dorms were chill, but I moved out because it's expensive and you have to share a room.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
even in New York City, like get your own place.
Well, that's what I was getting to. I think a lot of people after year 1 and year 2
Yeah.
were like, for the same amount of money, I have to have a roommate anyway.
Right.
For the same amount of money, I could still live on the Upper East Side
And get my own place.
and get my own place.
Yeah.
That's a little bigger.
And most of the time way cheaper too.
Yes.
Like 55th was something like $1,200 a month. I think my first apartment that I lived in was $600, like half the cost. My parents were thrilled.
Yeah.
I will say that I'm fortunate enough that my parents definitely helped me with my school. So.
Man, good. And for that, I say good for you, man. Me putting myself through school. I mean, that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
First of all, I moved from Queens to Harlem. Okay. For those of you at home, the upper West Side. I lived on 148th in St. Nicholas.
That was when Harlem was not so nice.
Yeah,
but for me, it was like,
now. but for me, it was like a nicer Flatbush. Flatbush Avenue, Brooklyn is predominantly. It was wild. There's music, loud music everywhere. You know, everyone with people everywhere. So Harlem was cheaper than Forest Hills.
Right.
Queens got so expensive, and anyone who's lived in New York can appreciate the irony and the humor of this. You're moving out of the borough of Queens to live in Manhattan
West Side,
because
Manhattan,
Queens is expensive.
I know,
but the actual fuck.
So many people live in
2-bedroom apartment, $1,000 a month.
Yeah, exactly. So many people in our school lived in Spanish Harlem when Spanish Harlem was scary after dark.
Yeah.
And that does not I am clearly very white.
Yeah.
People definitely when I went up and visited friends, they were like, who's this guy? But it did not matter your color, your creed. Spanish Harlem was not a safe neighborhood at that time. And it's completely different now. It's like condos and all of that stuff. It is gentrified so much, which is just it's good for safety, but also terrible for society.
Yes.
You know, which is a little unfortunate.
When I lived in Harlem, I told some of the guys who would stand out in front of our building.
Mm-hmm.
They're just, whatever, catcalling girls, mean mugging people.
Ever work?
So one night, this is how I broke the mold with them. Because growing up on Flatbush, I didn't really recognize black or white because everybody was black. My mom's black. I'm a few shades lighter, but to them, I identify with being black because you're black, right? In fact, I got reamed out for saying the N-word. My high school was a different neighborhood. It's an Italian neighborhood. My guy's like, I heard you say nigger. I don't ever want to hear you say that again. I'm like, no, I didn't. Because it's part of my DNA. Like, niggas, you high? So, and even now I say it and people are like, okay, he's Puerto Rican because there's no way a white dude's going to be saying that. But Harlem, different setting. Again, same demographic, African-American, whatever, but they don't know you.
Right.
So what broke the mold was one night I was singing karaoke, of course, and
as you do,
and took this girl home with me. She was Sri Lankan, right? So she had that half black, but it kind of looked like Miranda. Just to picture a black girl with nice hair, right? Picture a black girl that don't have to spend $200 on her hair, okay? So they're in front of the building. They're standing there. They're like this. Right, like this. So I walked by, I opened the door, I let her in, right? And when I let her in, I turned around, all 5 of them went.
You got the seal of approval, my man.
And that's when we started talking, because 2 days later, I was like, listen, you don't want this neighborhood to start being more expensive. Find the nearest white guy, beat his ass. So
you better talk to Columbia about that.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. It's definitely politically incorrect thing to say, but at the time, they were all laughing about it because they knew. And for you and me, it was the right place, right time. $5,500 on 55th Street.
Oh my gosh! I mean, it was a great place. It was like Marymount as a whole, and the dorms as a whole. They were a great place, like a nest in this giant city.
Yeah.
And I know some people, like, they moved to New York and went off the deep end because all of a sudden, I mean, no one's carding at bars. You can get whatever you want any time of the day. Like, literally 4:30 in the morning, you want delivery, they will bring it to you.
Nobody cracks down on an Irish pub.
No, yeah. I mean, there was a dorm, or there was a bar on 55th Street, like 2 doors down, that, like, they didn't card ever.
What was the name of that place? Oh my god.
Yeah,
What
like
the name of that
it was
place?
called like Blackfriar or something like that. It was something like that. I mean, they got shut down because they didn't card anyone, and there were so many dorm students that were like, yeah, this is our bar.
Mhm.
And they're like 18, 19 years old, whatever, because they don't card in New York because of the cabs and subway. You can get home safe. And so people are just like, whatever, they're going to give us money. Great. I thought that the dorm was a great first year nest in this giant city. It was a safe place. But then after that, I was like, okay, I would like to not live in this expensive place that share a room, you know? And so I lived on the Upper East Side on 93rd and Lex. Then I lived out in Brooklyn for a year in Williamsburg.
Which at the time was awesome.
It was awesome.
But way expensive.
No, it wasn't actually that bad because I lived in South Williamsburg, and it was not the hipster that it is now. Yeah. Like, you had to walk through like the areas where there were broken fridges on the street, that kind of stuff. We had a 2-story house there with a backyard. It was amazing. It was amazing. I paid $700 a month for that. I still remember. Yeah, right. Like, this day and age, you remember any of that stuff?
Pays to be good looking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wasn't the one who found it. I was along for the ride on that one. And then I lived on the Upper East Side again for my senior year. But then every year after I graduated, I was out in Astoria because it was still affordable. And my wife and I went back and visited there. And we were like, there's no way we could afford this anymore. Right. And we've only been in California for 4 years. Yeah. Like, it has changed even in those 4 years so dramatically. And that's like New York City in a nutshell. It is always transient.
Yeah.
Always changing. Yeah. We would.
Like, I'm sure, I mean, even now, like 147 St. Nicholas, you still have places for cheap, but that's dissipating.
Yeah.
You know,
I would think that you'd need to go 20, 30 blocks higher this day and age to
when I
decided to
own, I went down. We ended up, before we moved here, we lived on 87 in West End.
Oh, nice.
1 bedroom.
That's a nice area.
It's 1,285 square feet. So big place.
That's a big place for New York City.
It is.
You had closets there, probably.
No, we had an office. Me and my girlfriend, when we moved in together, well, I ain't gonna lie, it was her place, but we had our desk. There was this whole space where we could have our desk opposite sides of the room. Because
that's unheard of.
She's in finance, so she does a lot of work at home. Me, I decided to at the time, yeah, hell yeah. If you're not a millionaire by the time you're 40, make sure you're fucking married to one. So
I better get working on being a millionaire.
Yeah, something. Or make sure she is, right?
Yeah.
So no, but it's one of those things where we had, we did a lot of work from home, so having that space is important, and flipping this place is just my little, this is we're podcasting out of my command center, but this overall is genuinely a nice neighborhood. The second nicest neighborhood I've ever been in, second only to the Upper West Side.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, when I drove in here, I was like, this is nice. This seems pretty
it's a beach
banging.
life.
Yeah. The beach life isn't, I'm more a mountains guy myself, but I certainly appreciate being this close to.
I'm still a concrete jungle guy, but I think for where my career was steering when I moved here, beach volleyball, indoor volleyball, and transitioning to coaching beach is great.
Makes sense to be in the place where you work.
The girl, she's tech in the show. She's on, she plays.
Yeah,
she goes all she's in all the Go Series tournaments and stuff like that.
Sometimes just a little bit.
I always loved volleyball. I actually tried to start a men's volleyball team at my high school, but because of Title IX, where it's like equal opportunity for women and men, there is no way that we could ever start one because of our football team.
Right.
Because there's so many starting positions on a football team that are, all guys. That takes up like the female soccer team, that takes up the female softball team. Like they're like, it's already no way. They just said no.
I mean, think about this. This is high school and college.
Yeah.
Think about every big major university that doesn't have a men's volleyball team. Texas doesn't have a volleyball team
because they have 70 people on roster for their football team.
Right. Michigan doesn't have a Syracuse. Duke, all of these big schools don't have a Ohio State. They do.
Go Buckeyes.
They do. They're the best. To me, they're the best college. The last 10 years, they're the best college team of the decade. And I got a lot of friends on the West Coast. Like, oh no,
You talking about Ohio State's
men's volleyball team?
Yeah.
They well, this is a decade of repeat champions.
Gotcha.
All right. The last 2 years were Long Beach State.
Okay.
2 years before that were Ohio State.
Nice.
In fact, Long Beach State had to beat Ohio State 42-40. You have to win by 2.
Yeah, right.
Just to
and
just to
isn't it supposed to end at 21?
Yeah, exactly. 25. Yeah, indoors 25, outdoors 21.
Okay. I watched Olympic beach volleyball.
Yeah.
I will admit that I'm a fan for that. Go Carrie Walsh.
Yes.
Got to name drop a little bit so I don't sound completely ignorant.
Well, I had her husband on the podcast.
Oh yeah,
Casey Jennings.
Awesome.
And multiple time AVP.
Wasn't he the coach some of the time when they were competing in the Olympics?
No, the coach was Marcio Saccoli. He's a Brazilian guy.
Okay.
He coached Kerry Walsh and Misty May.
Yeah. Oh my God, they're badass.
And then her and April Ross. But
yeah, I just remember them being like they were kind of like the old timers, and they were still whooping these youngsters, and I'm like.
Guess
right,
what?
Girls.
Guess what? Do you want to tell them what's happening in 2020? Who's second right now on points?
Carrie Walsh.
She's second on points as far as like qualifying.
Because how old is she? She's got to be in her 40s.
She's probably 43 if I had to do the math. But
that's girl.
But that's a power couple.
You're awesome. Keep on doing what you do.
It's a power couple, man. They're both. You know, he's a BYU, 2-time NCAA champ, multiple-time FIVB champ, multiple-time AVP champ, and let me tell you something. He aggressively defends his woman. There was
for sure.
There was a podcast.
I would too.
There was a commentator, Kevin Barnett, that was crapping on the league that she started. She started a new league because the politics, which I won't get into with the AVP.
Sure.
And Kevin Barnett, for 20 straight minutes, had this diatribe on why it wasn't working. What are you guys doing? Carrie shouldn't be doing this. Carrie should be doing that. And this guy, and guess who was on the next episode? The husband. And it was, you saw Miranda. It was the most uncomfortable because when you got two people, you got a bunch of athletes, right? One's a color commentator, but he's not a debater. He doesn't have real debate skills.
He's just going on a rant.
He's got the gift of gab.
Right.
But he doesn't have real debate skills, and he's like, all I'm doing is stating facts right now, and I'm like, actually, you're not.
You're stating your opinion and disguising it as facts.
Yes,
I mean, this is the problem.
You're illogically connecting
Fox
facts.
News.
Yeah, bullshit. Yeah, listen, we could get them out of the way first because Fox is the easy one.
Yeah.
We could have a healthy debate about MSNBC.
Fox is the one that
CNN,
I don't agree with, so
but Fox,
it's easy to
just pick another example.
Yeah.
That's
absolutely.
the onion. That's the onion for Republicans.
Absolutely. I mean, MSNBC has similar problems. I mean, they certainly do. Like
don't like how they did Yang.
Right. Well, I mean. My problem is a more general thing, not talking about like presidential politics. I expect we'll get into that.
I think it was deliberate. I just thought it was incompetent.
Right. My problem is that any of the news sources these days that we are watching and regurgitating in our conversations and or just like keeping in and like and like Facebooking about and all that kind of stuff, we're up in arms about whatever. Half that stuff that we're regurgitating is someone else's opinion based on the facts, and that's.
But and the question is, how do the facts? What two facts? How do you make the logical connection from one fact to to the other? Is the argument?
Like I love Rachel Maddow. I think she's a very skilled,
highly educated.
I trust her interpretation of the facts, but you still have to go into that stuff with a critical eye, and so many people don't on both sides, and that's so much of the problem that we're in now.
I think it comes from levels of bias. Like, let's be real, Matt. Let's be real, Miranda. Everything we talk about, being real everything now. We
weren't real before.
Every position you take,
turn it on.
Every position you take, because right now what's coming up next is going to be like, I'm not biased. I'm fair with everybody. I'm as fair as you're ever going to meet with everybody. And even I'm going to tell you that where I start my argument comes from a position of bias. There's just levels to it, right?
I mean, there's no way for someone to be completely unbiased.
I'll give you an example, a popular example. Elizabeth Warren accused Bernie, or old man Bernie, right, of
Mr. Sanders,
of sexism, right, of saying a woman can never be president. Now,
which if he said is fucking bullshit,
right? It is bullshit. But if he says he didn't, my bias takes the fact that this man has spent 40 years championing women's rights, all right, versus somebody who comes out of nowhere and says that. So my bias gives him the presumption of innocent until proven guilt.
Right.
Because how does Bernie prove he doesn't say that?
Sure.
He didn't say that.
I mean, it's an impossible task, but at the same time, just because you are a supporter of someone's rights,
right,
doesn't mean he didn't say that.
I mean,
those two things are not mutually
dangerously
exclusive.
close to disproving a negative, though.
Right. But what I'm saying is just
there's no evidence of something that didn't exist.
No, and I'm not saying whether he said it or whether he didn't.
Right.
What I'm saying is his, just like any politician, because I think our wonderful former mayor Bloomberg, his
we're gonna get into him in a minute.
His belly flop of an entrance into the political.
We got time for that one.
Sweet. His belly flop of a thing into the debate last night was certainly interesting. But one of his things was like, "Hey, I've been nice to women," and Elizabeth Warren eviscerated him over it, as she should have, because just like this, what launched us into this little tangent, Bernie Sanders, whether he said it or didn't, is. Sure, like that's a story that the pundits are gonna talking heads are just gonna go on and on and on about, and they're gonna spin cycle the hell out of that soundbite, right? But just because Bernie Sanders has been a champion of women does not mean it's impossible for him to say that in the first place, right? He can be a supporter of African American people and their need for, say, like income equality and social justice in prisons. He can be a supporter of all those things. That, and I'm not saying that he said this, but that doesn't mean that he couldn't.
I mean, I don't know.
Right. That doesn't mean he couldn't have said at some time, well, it's clear that we couldn't have an African-American president because the country's not ready for it. Yeah. Like, there is...
Here's what I think happened. I think
misinterpretation
there was a huge, definitely. There was a huge... Yeah. You know, there was a civil war in 2016 between him and Hillary, where you know, people will call Bernie bots, and of course Bernie bots are going to be like, "Hey,
Bernie bros too.
Fuck you, fuck you, you establishment retards." I mean, how do you expect? I mean, I'm going to defend him a little bit. How do you expect someone to react when you go online and you say, "Well, that's not true. He said this." Oh, well, here come the Bernie bots again. I'm like, what the fuck did I do to you guys? No, but here's the point I was trying to make. Shit, I think it just left. No, when Hillary won the nomination and she lost.
Right.
I think this is what I think
lost-ish. I think there's some asterisks there, depending on. I mean, realistically, she's not the president, so she lost. But
we just had a conversation about the difference in getting the most votes and then how things work, right? Remember Bernie won Iowa. Had the most votes, but didn't get all the delegates.
Right. So he didn't win Iowa.
So the same goes to Hillary. Technically, she didn't win the election.
Right. Absolutely.
The same people have to be consistent on if you don't want the electoral college, how about get rid of superdelegates? Or how about make sure your delegate system is right? How about fix your own fucking house before you do this? But what I was trying to say was probably the day she lost, Bernie probably just said, "Fuck my life. There's no way a woman's going to be president." And maybe
but was Elizabeth Warren sitting next to him when he said that?
And that might be my theory.
I mean, maybe.
You know, and she probably just said, "Shit, at this point, maybe not." But then 4 years later, you know what? He said that. I got ammunition.
Right.
So that's my theory. That's my theory on what happened. I don't think she's lying. I just think one of them I don't think one of them are remembering that.
I also.
But my bias goes by people's past. Right.
I mean, as we should take their past actions into account.
Well, the consistency to the president.
Right. Just like, I mean, you can't all of a sudden be like, "Hey, I'm for income equality," when, for instance, Mayor Bloomberg is a 66 billionaire or something like that. I mean, clearly there's some problems there, whether he thinks he earned it and worked hard for it or not, which is like almost a direct quote from his thing last night. Someone asked him, I don't remember I think the moderator asked him, and he was like, "Yeah, I absolutely deserve to have all my money." And I'm like, okay.
Every billionaire thinks they deserve it.
Well, of course. But I mean, I think the larger point is probably in Bernie's favor in this one, that we probably shouldn't have billionaires in the first place.
He's not my first candidate. He's not my second or my third.
He is not mine either.
That was a cheap
I would vote for him.
But to me, that was a cheap fucking question.
Oh, about the billionaires thing? Yeah.
Because what is he doing with his billions?
At the same time,
he's basically giving it all away. And he
signed the pledge for sure.
And he's spending it to make sure that Orange Man is not
Cheeto and Chief.
So
yeah,
what do you call him?
Cheeto and Chief. I won't claim the origin of that one, but it's certainly appropriate. It might be a cheap shot, so to speak, because it's a loaded question, and it's like, how do you answer that correctly? The reality is he could have answered it in a way of like saying, yes, I have made billions of dollars that using in the system, whatever, but that doesn't make the system right. And because of that, I am and have signed this philanthropy pledge to give away 75% or more of my wealth and that kind of stuff. By the way, 75% of his wealth, and he will still be a multi-billionaire. Right. Just putting that shit out there.
Next 3 generations is set.
Right. I mean, forever. Like his family, as long as money still exists, they will be fine.
Well, the reason why I thought it was a loaded question like you did, and the reason why I thought it was unnecessary is because it's illogically connected to what he did in politics. The difference between him making an attempt to understand people and having his head in the sand, and just being like dismissive about some things are where they should have focused their arguments. It's a billionaire who does not have connection with what's going on. Like,
right. We
spent time in New York, okay?
Yeah.
When he
does not have to worry about walking down the street and fighting his way into a subway car to get home after working a 14-hour day.
He ain't part of the rat race. No, but his second term, basically, he met up with ministers. This is the only time I give him credit for even trying. Met up with ministers, met up with local leaders. It's like, listen, these people are they grew up in these neighborhoods when it was bad. Now the rent's going up, and now it's good. You're asking them to move out. They're getting priced out. So what he did was he thought he hired the right people and said, listen, this X amount, 30% of this building or whatever is going to be affordable housing.
Right.
So in your mind, if you're living way up here, in your mind, you thank you. Yeah. If you're in your mind, you're doing the right thing. Cool. That's affordable housing. I did that.
Right.
Oh, but the problem is, and you know where I'm getting at, right? If in this apartment, to get this apartment, you have to make less than $1,600 a month.
Right, and how do you survive in New York with that?
You don't.
For one,
so
even if your rent is like $500, I mean,
but I call it the get fucked category. Right. You make too much money to qualify for affordable housing, but you don't make enough. Yeah. To actually afford to pay the regular rent. The get fucked category.
And for anyone who doesn't understand this, if you, for instance, are just priced out of Obamacare subsidies, it is the same thing. And so like if you make that, I think the threshold this year was something like $49,900, and then you would get a subsidy or some kind. And if you make $50,000, you get zero. Like that's exactly the same thing in this situation, where you could make pennies more and then not qualify. Or if you had qualified previously to stay in these places, you would get evicted. Like it's crazy. I mean, affordable housing in any major city is, especially as our urban centers grow astronomically. Like the population in LA, the population in New York has certainly exploded to the point where people are now leaving in droves and going to, say, places like Columbus. Columbus is one of the fastest growing cities in the country.
Good place to be, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Ohio, so I can certainly speak about the trends in Ohio. Cleveland is another example of a population that shrunk dramatically, but now is getting a huge influx of people from Chicago, people from New York, people from, the DC area. They're moving to these cities because for right now, the income can provide a good living, but it's the same. They're going to run into the same problems. They're going to run into the same exact issues of, we have more people than we can house at an affordable rate. Right. And that's terrible. I mean, one of the things that I know that de Blasio has been trying to do is just to build new entire project style affordable housing in the Lower East Side. And of course, then you get into whole like NIMBY arguments of like, I don't want that next to my block where my kids go to school, whatever. It's like, how do you solve these complex issues?
I think it's just about embracing everybody as human beings. Like someone
Right.
looks,
That'd be nice.
In New York, look, there's a wealthy who don't give a fuck. I get sued. I'm good. Yeah. Just settle out of court.
And the wealthy in New York is like, not people making $1 million a year.
No.
You need to be making like 10 million a year to be considered.
The guys who make
class.
$1 million a year, I call the asshole rich. Those are the ones who are mad because they're not wealthy, and then they look down and they shit on everybody else.
Right, because $1 million in a year.
The only way to feel good about your money is to shit on other people who don't make more than you because you mad because you don't make what those guys make.
But like $1 million a year in New York is like when your apartment costs $3,000 or $4,000 a month.
Yeah.
I mean, like. Or your mortgage costs $10,000 a month. That's not a shit ton of money.
You're working for your rent.
Yeah.
You're working for your landlord. So I get that. And I grew up in New York, and I know enough people in my life there. Anyone's like, oh, the middle class is getting fucked. And I'm like, how much do you make a year? $225,000 a year. Yeah. It's like, man, suck. Ooh, nah. Go kick rocks. How about that one? I'm trying to be less raunchy because my employer, who's the founder of Endless Summer Beach Volleyball, has her kids watching because we have volleyball guests. But
so now is not the time we should talk about our favorite curse words.
No, because we have a. Oh, remember that?
I do. Asshat is one of my favorites too. Yeah. Though,
but I mean, I think the point I was trying to make. Everyone has this middle class lumped into this one big category, but no.
There's so many shades of that.
Listen, I afford to live in Harlem. I afford to live on the Upper West Side or whatever. I never. Per year, even now, my girlfriend's a whole different story. But I've never made $200,000 a year. I've never made more than $70,000, 60 or 70,000. I made a combined $70,000 with 3 jobs. I was coaching NCAA volleyball. I'm working at a cardiology practice, mid-level administration. And
I had to in LA. That's not a lot of money.
In one category, there's going to be people. The get fucked category again are the people that make just enough. Where they don't qualify for the affordable housing, just enough.
Where they don't get the healthcare subsidies. Yep. And I will now plug that I believe that healthcare is a human right, and maybe we should follow in the footsteps of every other, like first world country in the world that has government-related healthcare.
Yep.
Maybe we should do that too. I mean, because like here's
everyone's worried about their taxes going up, but if you have
that,
no, but if you actually have that, you're paying less.
You end up paying less. And here's my counter argument, right?
Please.
Because people are like, no, it won't work. It won't work. And I'm like, why don't we try?
Yeah.
And if it
crashes, it can't stay the same.
Right. And if it crashes it can stay the same for a very few select people who are making billions and billions of dollars, which is great. But the reality is like, why don't we try? Because if it crashes and burns, then you might actually be vindicated in your argument that it will never work. But until you actually try it and it doesn't work, like your argument doesn't hold water.
Right.
We should in fact try it because it will be a raging success.
There is a huge,
just my opinion,
influence on both sides, though.
DuMont 2024.
Listen. You're in the room of agreement right now. Yeah. I always believe that. Okay.
I mean, I think the preamble of the Constitution, like we are here for the pursuit of happiness, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Right. Mm-hmm. Life includes health.
Yes, we want to live to be happy. Living is included, but not living, but not limited to.
Living includes your health.
The happiness part.
So I mean, I think that there's so many justifiable things, even for the originalists, which I think that entire idea is just complete and utter bullshit.
I also think I get angry when it comes to certain things, people don't ask about where the money's going to come from. All right. Yeah. And when it comes to healthcare, where's the money going to come from? It's going to come from, like I said, if you're paying into a certain system, we're all paying into a certain system. We actually end up spending less. One way or another, you got to spend. It's just a matter of how much you got to spend. And free healthcare actually.
Well, it's not free. We earn it.
No, the word free meaning paid for by.
Right.
Okay, right. Listen, I can take you to Starbucks after this and not get your green tea frappuccino. For you, it's free, right?
Right.
But it means paid.
Someone paid for it.
So I mean, people need to be careful about that word too. But what pisses me off is and I'll use the military as an example. When it comes to sending people to war, Nobody cares about the fucking.
Nobody's talking about the price tag on a bomb.
Everybody's talking about anti-war, but for Trump's little personal war, where we're fucking pimping our soldiers in Saudi Arabia,
amongst
all
other
of them,
things.
all of them approve that budget. All right.
Yeah.
When it comes to
he just talked about gutting all these programs and increasing the defense budget again,
which is more than what the next 15 countries combined.
Yeah,
right?
we don't need it.
How many of them are our allies too?
Yeah. I mean, I support the troops. I will be the first one to be like, yes, I am thankful. My sister was military. I have military in my family going back generations, like most American families do. And certainly the ones who don't have that doesn't mean they're any less patriotic by any standards. But I feel like everybody can get behind the idea that we all support the troops. Where there's a disconnect is where people question patriotism because I question the budget for the military. And we have all these missiles pointed at each other across the world. And it's like, okay, is there a huge difference between having 100 missiles and having 50 missiles that would end human life on Earth?
You need two.
Right. I mean, you need a couple maybe, and then the Earth will be irrevocably changed. And the point of that though is like questioning the priorities of the government and their budget, which we're getting into like some wonky shit right now, but questioning the priorities of that does not make you any less patriotic. And I think that needs to be trumpeted by the party that I happen to agree with so much more than it is, because it's used as a bludgeon, Matt, do you know, over and over again.
Before I say what I got to say, you know what we have in common? We love democratic values. We hate shitty Democrats. All right, we get that out of the way.
I think anyone can agree that they like their particular values and hate shitty politicians.
I just hate shitty people in general.
Yeah,
all right?
exactly.
Look, I love
included.
feminism. No, I love feminism, but I ain't gonna say every feminist is a good person. Pieces of shit too sometimes.
Yep.
This is what I was getting somewhere with this whole letter.
Right.
You brought up the age-old mantra that if you don't support the military, you don't love America, and that's the time-tested, baseless, illogically connected accusation that you're going to hear since the Vietnam. I'll just go back as far as the Vietnam War,
because it was certainly used before that.
Up to post 9/11, invading Iraq, weapons of mass destruction, and this and that.
Right.
Like if you
the people
didn't support
didn't
the
vote
Iraq
that war were considered unpatriotic.
Yeah.
And they've been using that against people like Sanders ever since, because I know that
he voted against.
Yes, exactly. He was one of the people who voted against the Iraq War. He was one of the few. Yeah. And for that, he should absolutely be lauded.
I think everyone that voted for the Iraq War, I mean, everyone gets called out on their past on that. I think there are certain people that deserve a pass on that. Like if you're George Bush, all right, and you got Dick Cheney in your ear, who's supposed to be your intelligence, right? You got Colin Powell co-signing back and they're like, like, listen, Mr. President, they're making weapons of mass destruction, and you got someone like George Bush, right? Fucking a C student that goes in the air.
We're gonna go out there and bomb.
No. That's the end line,
right?
But this is the question that comes before the end line. Dick, come here. How sure are you?
Right.
That these people are making, before I do what I got to do, how sure are you?
Right. But did he ask that question?
He did. His people in the room, they hit like the White House, you know how the White House has archives or whatever, these conversations.
Plausible deniability of being like, we're pretty sure.
Yeah. I'm not saying he's a good person. I'm just saying that sometimes bad people brainless people do smart things. Okay, he had symptoms of intelligence on that. Okay,
symptoms of intelligence.
So it's more,
that is my new favorite phrase.
No, but listen, when someone asks you, "What am I, an asshole?" Just tell them, "No, you have symptoms of intelligence." But he comes up, he's like, "Dick, come here. How sure are you that these people have weapons of mass destruction?" Dick says, "Mr. President, 100%.
Right.
Absolutely. Our intelligence."
Yeah, the villain in the room is Dick Cheney.
Our intelligence is dick hard. Okay.
Right.
All right, let's go. You know, any president, and this is why I don't blame Bush as much as I blame the evil man. We'll just call him the evil man. We have the orange man, we got the evil man. Whatever you call Trump, I'm a substitute. The evil man, Dick Cheney.
It's Cheeto in Chief.
Cheeto in Chief.
Don't forget it, Jason.
Don't forget it. That's my contribution to this show and its future is Cheeto and Chief.
Dude, I'm gonna play this back. Are you kidding? It's gonna be great. It is going to be great. I'm gonna play all this back. So here's the argument I have with the whole veteran things. When it comes to going to war, oh, you're not patriotic. This is America. This is America. Fuck you, assholes. But this is where it drops like a ton of bricks, and it angers me. Where I probably broke my hand. When they come back,
yeah, what do we do for them? Fuck all. We have the biggest.
He gotta finish my sentence for me. Go on.
No,
you the guest.
The biggest homeless problem in this country is homeless vets. And why are they on the street at all? They're right. Of course, we have tons of post-traumatic stress type related injuries. We have brain injuries. I mean, we're talking about all these from the all's clear Soleimani retaliation from the Iranian government, where we are now getting reports that it is not all clear. We have 100+ soldiers from that airbase that have head injuries because of it, and of course those things take time. CTE takes time to show up, those kind of things. But
and those are from warning shots,
and those are just from warning shots, right? Like those are like shots across the bow, being like, "Hey, don't fuck with us anymore." The plight of our veterans, and I use plight specifically because it is disaster of what we are doing. We are not taking care of our soldiers who are going to fight for our freedoms. We exist as a country because we have soldiers who are willing to fight and die for our stuff. And the fact, yeah, that's right, guys. Right. And the fact that we mistreat them so terribly is a plight against them. And
that's, don't you see where I was getting at? Where's the patriotism?
Well, yeah, exactly.
We're America. We're America.
I'm sorry, MAGA users.
Where's that shit? Where's that shit? No. Listen, there are MAGA users. Okay,
sure. And that's a broad brush that I just painted with.
But listen, they're on the other side of the aisle, and I don't agree with every one of them. But there are those guys that wear those MAGA hats. I'm not going to do a percentage. I don't know the numbers. I would say about half of them are like, why aren't we taking care of our people coming back?
I will trust your info on that, because I see people.
I have so many. If you've ever seen my social network, whatever, and the only reason why I get along with everybody is because I talk to people like human beings. If I call a right winger a gun nut, you know what he's going to tell me? Fuck you, you liberal retard. Yeah. And then there's no conversation.
Right. My problem is that the people who are dressing in patriotism to the point that they're literally wearing illegally, because it is against the law.
It's flag code.
It's against the flag code. If you are, and I'm like, fine, dress up your patriotism, wear a flag jacket, wear flag pants,
but don't be a hypocrite. And
exactly, that's where my problem lies.
Takes a knee.
Right. If someone is against if they are so antithetical to war and to military because of whatever, like, fine, be true to yourself, be a good humanitarian and take care of the people when they come back. But that's not hypocritical to me necessarily if they don't.
Right.
The people who are wearing literally like flag patriotism as garments and then are like just completely absent, that seems hypocritical to me.
Of course. Symbolism is not activism.
Right.
Symbolism is not activism.
I support the troops. Okay, how are you supporting the troops?
Yeah.
Verbally? Great. That does not help them pay their rent.
Have you visited the VA?
Right. Exactly. And I'm not going to claim to have done those things because I am not perfect either.
I'll give you an example how I'm an Obama head, okay? I'm 50 this year, so I can only speak to
What?
Yeah.
Fuck off with that. Are you serious?
Yeah, man.
You're gonna be 50?
Show you some ID, bro.
Like they say, black don't crack.
That's right. Let me tell you something. If you look good white, though, you look good any color, because white is so unforgiving. It is so unforgiving. Any imperfection, white is like, oh, it's right there. Look. Oh, there. Look at it. There it is.
Can I plug something real quick?
Please, go ahead.
So, because it just made me think of it, saying black don't crack. There is an
I can't wait for this.
There's an amazing show on Netflix called it is the Astronomy Club. It is from one of our fellow Marymounters is one of the cast members of it. His name is James the Third. What
James Smith.
Yeah, dude. You didn't know this?
No.
Shit, dude. It's so good. So he's on Netflix with his improv troupe. They filmed a Netflix series, and the first season of it is awesome. I watch it tomorrow.
James Smith,
Yep.
Fucking A. You get the reference.
Yeah, that's right, James.
You get the reference, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to talk about it too.
We have to. We could jump the fuck off of politics now.
He goes by James III now.
Yeah,
just for that.
Well, he's always been that since college.
Yeah, for sure. But
Eugene Jones too.
He has removed Smith, I think, from his
good.
Like, because he goes by James III now.
I like that.
But his troupe got picked up by Netflix, and they were produced by one of the producers of I want to say Blackish.
Yeah.
And it went, I don't remember all the stuff, so I apologize,
I can't
James.
believe
but
this.
it is such a good show. My wife and I binged it. We loved all of it, and they of course have a cold open about Black Don't Crack, and it's
Pop-Tarts
so good. Yeah, man. One of us made it the big time, and it
Pop-Tarts is this comedy club in Marymount that would do skits.
It was
like it was so SNL. It was like I don't know, poor man's SNL.
Yeah, poor man's SNL out of college. It was called Pop-Tarts, which is not exactly PC, so my apologies. But it was hysterical. We had such good times. Like we had a Captain Planet sketch that I still to this day crack up about.
The power is yours.
The power I had. So I was Mati. Because I don't know why, but Mati had the power instead of the power of heart. He gave up the power of heart because, like, what did Mati ever do on that show other than have a monkey? Mm-hmm. So my best friend at the time, he is still one of my best homies in life. My buddy Ivan was my monkey, which was awesome because he threw Snickers bars out of his diaper at people this is college sophomore humor. But I had, instead of the power of heart, I had the power of orgasm, which was phenomenal in crime fighting. I'm just going to put it out there.
That's fucking awesome. James Smith. So it's on Netflix. It's called what?
It's called Astronomy Club. It is the name of their group and also the name of the Netflix series. And like, I literally recommend it tomorrow. Go watch it tomorrow. I fully plug it. I will admit that I loved 95% of it.
Good.
You know, and which is like
that's an A.
That's like, yeah, absolutely.
That's an A.
And the stuff that I didn't like absolutely love, it's probably because I didn't get the inside joke, which I would understand. Right.
Nice.
It was fantastic. Are people saying that they're?
No, we're talking about color. What about light skin?
Yeah, light skin? I'm a little white.
You are. Yeah.
I'm a little white.
That's what they call me growing up in Brooklyn. Like, he's not white. He's a light skinned brother.
Well, talking about that, I feel like. Do you want to talk about UACT?
Yes, that's where I was going because James Smith.
He was also in
that. That whole Obama thing, I just wanted to finish by saying
sure, of course.
he helped sign a bill called VRAP, Veterans Retraining Assistance Program. If you're a vet, you were laid off to no fault of your own, they pay for 2 years of college or whatever. I actually used to go to real estate school. Yeah, you know, they paid for books, they paid for cost of living, first 40,000 applicants. So as far as presidents doing something that directly affects you.
Right.
Listen, he's my favorite president, but I'm not an idiot. I know I ain't down with this drone shit. You know, I'm not down with spying on people.
Good people could do bad things.
Yeah, but I think the cool thing, the difference between Democrats and Republicans, Democrats at least have a civil war because they disagree on stuff. Republicans, whatever Trump does is not a deal breaker. And that's the problem I have. I'm like, it's okay for the guys who will support Trump, I love you. And it's okay to support him because you were left out and the economy wasn't bad. But it's okay to say, I have a problem that Trump did this. You don't have to fucking make excuses for every fucking thing this guy does wrong. Oh, they did it too. No, listen, Barack Obama has got enough, and this guy before his record was squeaky clean, and he's flawed, and I have huge problems with what he did. But as soon as you can admit that, you can get together. Now I drove off that shit. Let's talk about something fun. UACT. UACT.
United Artists of Color Theater.
Yes. Oh my God. Do you have a can you look up James III for me when you get the chance? United Artists of Color Theater. Here's the thing for the people listening, and bear with me on this one, but don't get undressed. There were plays at Marymount. There were musicals where Latino and Black people were not getting cast for. First of all,
we'll just say there might be some racism involved with that.
Definitely some racism involved in that, and man, we're gonna go somewhere. We're just getting started. Miranda might want to just position the camera and leave now.
I'll just say, here's a direct quote before we continue on this.
Yep.
A faculty member said to a friend of mine, and I absolutely, like, dear friend of mine in college, a faculty member asked why they weren't auditioning for a particular show. And she said, I'm not interested in singing. And that faculty member responded with, that is the last time we do a show for your people. And like,
okay.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I'll do one better. Her name is Patricia Simon.
Yeah, okay.
Pat Simon.
I wasn't going to name names.
You know what? No, listen, Matt is off the hook here. Matt didn't do nothing to nobody. Me, I'm going to put you on Front Street because what are you going to do? Call the acting police on me? Boo! Yeah. Fuck off, okay? Patricia Simon, when they did Ragtime.
Yes, and that is the show.
And the people from UACT were like, nah, I'm not going to audition.
Yep.
No, I'm going to pass up on that.
Yep.
The people in the BFA program, I think they were trying to make them audition for it.
They were.
It was the TPW.
Because they didn't have enough people to
and she said, this is the last time I do something for you people.
Yep.
And you can go
That's a direct quote.
She can suck a dick. And
which
now,
she said to multiple people. Yeah.
But, no. Hey, experience with her before I get to UACT. First year. She's walking by me, and she has this thing where she doesn't recognize someone. She looks like this.
Yeah.
And she looks at him, right? So when someone looks at me, I'm like, hey, how you doing? And so when she was walking by, she looked at me, and I looked at her, and I said, hey, good morning, how are you? And then she just looked straight and walked away. And then when I was still walking, I said, you wonder why nobody respects your ass? And then she stopped, and then she turned around like this, and I just went, and I knew she turned around, and I put a hand up like this. You know why? Because they set up the structure at Marymount where everybody thinks that they're there for the teachers.
The teachers are there for me.
But they set up Marymount. Marymount's set up where, like, you have to suck up to this person or this or that. What the hell is she going to do? What the hell was asked? I said that to her. Now what? What are you going to do? Report me to David Moe? I'm going to tell him what you did. You know? Yeah. I'll go public on it. I mean, it's
not worth wasting.
All right. So anyway, Black and Latino students were getting unfairly treated as far as being cast for theater production workshops. Yep. If you're not casting at theater production workshops,
it's essentially
casting directors who come to watch those don't see you. You don't get noticed, and you don't get fucking work. So and basically, also, like, you have this useless degree because no one saw you, and you're really out on your own.
And I mean, it's also practical experience. I mean, you don't have any chemistry major who has to, like, go through their entire 4 years of chemistry, like, undergrad, and they don't spend any time in the lab because they auditioned for and didn't get into the lab program. Like, that's essentially what doing the main stages were, is you had to audition for the opportunity to play what you actually want to do for your career. And I mean, that's one of my unfortunate things about, I think, all theater schools, is that there is that kind of component. If they are not conscientious about how they treat an educational environment.
Agreed.
Like, yes, you want to have the best show possible, but we are also paying tuition dollars.
It's a college.
It's a
this
college.
This is why I saluted David Moe. David Moe, listen, he could pick anyone he wants, but at the end of the day, he knows he has a job to do. Richard Miles, that's where I think he fails. Put a James picture for a sec. I want to show everybody how cool he is.
James Smith.
James Smith.
What James the Third?
His Bill Cosby impression is
oh my God!
So he's top notch.
So he has. Oh my gosh, I can't think about it now. Maybe you'll have to help me.
So go back to that.
So what is Cat? I don't remember. What is the? There's like a rapper that is like all about pimps.
Cat Williams.
Cat Williams. So he does a Cat Williams sketch that is phenomenal on this show, on Astronomy Club, for the Netflix special. It is fantastic. It is so good. Yeah, this is the team. I highly recommend this show. It is phenomenally funny.
Yeah.
And the real thing is, like, you want to talk about real deal? There's a lot of white shows. This is a black cast doing a black show for mainly, of course, African-American audiences, but that everyone can get behind. If you enjoy funny, you'll enjoy that show.
Yep. So steering right into that to UACT, right?
Yep.
So basically, Black and Latino students felt like they were being treated unfairly as far as casting is concerned.
So they started their own shit.
Marymount's going to have a problem with that. But again, Marymount, I rule the world, not you. So if you have a problem, come call me. Come see me for what I'm about to say. Ishmael Wilson. I'm going to start naming names. Ishmael Wilson
is one of the most phenomenal directors I have ever worked with. And I worked as a professional actor for 10 years.
directed Fucking A at 19 years old.
Yeah.
He was, the way this man's mind worked.
And that's still a show that people talk about, that saw it. And that was in 2005, 2006.
And the respect that man commanded at such a young age.
Yeah.
When he said quiet on his set, and when he said come on time, full grown men. I did that show when I was 35 years old. Okay.
I cannot believe that you're 50.
Adam,
Gotta be 50.
Listen, you have difficult personalities. Adam Toback, him and him rub shoulders and this and that, and I will tell a story about that. So the cool thing I liked about this guy, he says, I have an idea. Let's do our own fucking show. Let's have our own auditions. And it wasn't a small play where he only needed a handful. He went balls out because Fucking A is an ensemble play.
Yeah, it's like
we had
15
31 people.
Well, oh my God, was it that many?
31. We had 31 fucking people because understudies and this and that.
Right.
For the whole production, we had 31 people do this. We chose a space that the theater program couldn't control. If you remember the 8th floor.
Yeah, which doesn't exist anymore.
It's offices now, right?
Yeah, something like that. I think they changed it into Res Life.
So for everyone listening, the 8th floor in Marymount was this huge, almost gymnasium type space that was wall-to-wall carpeting.
You know, it used to be the pool, right?
It used to be a pool, that's right.
Yeah, it was an 8th floor pool in 2001, and they got rid of the pool. They took that away and made it into this like just cavernous room because they didn't know what the fuck to do with it.
Cool. Oh, you're doing a split screen?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I like that. She's gonna cut out. She's got volleyball stuff to do, but what she's gonna do, she's gonna create a split screen between you and me.
Sweet, I'm into it. Let's do it.
So basically, this man had an idea to do a play called Fucking A, written by Susan Laurie Parks, who won Pulitzer for Best Drama, okay? A big-time playwright. Chose a space that the theater couldn't control. Auditioned the people that were BA and not BFA who can audition for anything they want. They were not controlled. The theater program couldn't control who they were to audition.
Right.
The BFA students got permission to do the play. That was the same year they did In the Boom Boom Room.
Yeah.
And on the theater production, after the theater production of the Boom Boom Room, those guys ran out of the Teresa Lang Theater as fast as they could, ran up the stairs in the 8th floor, standing room only. We had people up against the wall. We did 3 fucking shows.
It was amazing.
And it was
one of the finest shows I've ever done.
It was one of the fine shows, professional, school, academic, that I've ever been a part of. It's such a diverse, great group of people. Eugene Jones ended up doing Mother Courage and the Children with Shakespeare in the Park with Meryl Streep.
He also did what is the dude who oh my gosh, I'm so bad with this kind of stuff. The guy who did American Beauty, the director for that.
Don't know.
Okay. Well, he did a later film called I want to say Towelhead.
Okay.
And Eugene was one of the stars of that.
Yeah.
I mean, like he had major career after this.
Vladimir
Versailles is doing so much.
I saw him in The Good Wife, actually.
Yeah.
Some abused kid that was like crying on the witness stand. It's pretty cool.
I just saw him in a major commercial.
Yeah, see you later.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, she's usually with us through the whole stretch, and she came in as a favor.
She got to do volleyball.
She's like, I ain't doing no favor. I'm getting paid.
That means you need to come back.
Yo, Manhattan Beach is in North. Is that where you're going?
No, it's a train.
Okay. There's a huge tournament, country quarter for United States, and all of the best American players are playing Manhattan Beach right now as we speak.
Oh, sweet. Cool.
But for the people listening, the reason why I like that is because you had a group of students, like you. I'm citing you. I cite Vladimir. I cite Ishmael Wilson. I cite Ishmael
Pam Price.
Pam Price. Man, she was your mistress in that,
she
right?
She was.
You were the wife slapping mayor.
I was the wife cheating and concubine slapping mayor.
Okay. You slapped the wife too.
I did. Well, I choked her.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she wasn't providing me a son. Come on, girl.
But we did a bunch of shows. But there was one show you didn't choke her. It was Sunday. It was the Sunday show, the last show.
You remember this
and
way better than I do.
Ishmael said you bring her close and kiss her, or you slap her. So we didn't know. We were in the back, just getting ready, whatever. And she says, "Well, my father, you," and you went bam, and we in the back of the set, we went, "Oh shit!" Matt made a choice.
Yeah. I made some choices. I will say that while I pictured myself as a pretty nice guy, the best roles are the ones that I enjoyed playing most. Because I often played like oh, I'm the young plucky guy in love, because like, look at me. But the best roles that I loved the most were the ones where I got to stretch, right? And playing an evil character, playing the character where people afterwards, because I remember, this is what I remember distinctly about fucking A, other than that it was an incredible show. And if you ever get a chance to see that show live, go see it. Susan Laurie Parks is a genius.
I saw the original production. Most Def played Monster.
Played Monster. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's just a phenomenal show. Anything by her is phenomenal. Go see it. It will change you. But the thing that I remember afterwards is people coming up to me and being like, hey, you did great, but I don't feel comfortable talking with you. And I'm like, then I did my job.
You were believable.
That was like, it was such a phenomenal show.
You're believable. It was a lot of fun. Now the three things I get from the show: one, just a bunch of young minds who dared.
Yeah.
You know, to dare to say, hey, it's our school too. Yeah. It's our school too. We spent 2.5 years being here for them, and now let's do something. We can't wait our 4 years, because you pretty much all the way to senior showcase. Right.
Which I didn't get into.
I thought that was ridiculous. Everybody from our first year got in except for you and me. That was ridiculous.
I mean, the thing that I remember about, and thankfully I think they've changed this since then, is anyone who wants to participate in Senior Showcase now can. Good. And I was thinking about this earlier today. I was like, it doesn't make sense. You're literally cutting someone off at the knees. That give
you
not
they can't get work.
Yeah. I just paid you how much money for 4 years to go here. The also ironic thing is that the people that were I don't like naming names, so you name them if you want, but there were plenty of golden children at any institution. People who
I call them typecast.
Yeah,
because before I was at Marymount, when I was dating the girl I was telling you about, she pointed them out. She's like, that's Daniel Bittner. That's their golden boy. Fucking love that guy.
Right. I mean, it doesn't mean they're not incredibly talented, but the people that were handed everything at Marymount, the people who did like 5 main stages.
His last name was Roberts. I don't remember his first year. That guy got cast for everything, and he couldn't act his way out of a paper bag.
Right, but those people that were handed everything, most of them didn't have a career because they weren't used to hustling. No. They weren't used to making their own art like we did at UACT. Yep. I mean, that for me, that was a special part. And I did 3 shows with UACT as the token white dude. I wore that badge with pride. Were, man. I was the token white dude surrounded by all these beautiful people, all these beautiful artists of color.
Perez.
Oh my God. And she is just, her voice kills me. So many wonderful, wonderful, amazing people in that organization. And it really was, it was like, hey, you know what? You don't want to let us play. We're going to make our own game.
Yeah. So the 3 things I got: 1, just the balls, the audacity, and it took these minds. All right. Yeah. 2, Ishmael Wilson, just the centerpiece that takes all of these strong personalities. Adam Toback was a guy back then, didn't really get along with everybody. They almost threw hands, in fact. And the reason why I remember you the most is because you were.
I calmed that shit down.
Well, I took charge too. I said, listen, this is what's going to happen. Adam, you don't leave. Ishmael, you don't beat the shit out of him. Matt, everybody else go over there. I said, Matt. Yeah. I said, Matt, you mediate this, you ref this, because you were the coolest customer. You were the coolest customer. I mean, that in the cast that could me. I would have made it worse. Even I went the fuck.
It's
away.
Such an emotional show that everybody was on such an emotional place, and with tempers flaring over what was a very unfortunate thing. Like, we had someone who was supposed to be in the show, and then they were not, and it was very close to when we were supposed to be performing for people.
Rachel Perez, who was the understudy for the lead, had 3 days to prepare, so everyone was
maybe
on
less
edge.
Than that.
Yeah, probably
less. Because someone dropped the show like the week of, and so we had Rachel step in, who was phenomenal at the role. Like, phenomenal. Like, should have been the role in the first place. Like, that's how good she was. But there was, we'll just say, some heightened emotion because of the play, but then also because of the circumstances. And there was close to being some fists. And fortunately, people patched it up enough to put on a hell of a show.
And me, all I could do was watch. Matt, I was the first person to know everything because Ishmael always talked to me in private before we went on the set.
I miss him.
I come there and I see Rachel just running lines.
Right.
And he's like, she's out. I'm like, I'm like, who's out? You know, my ex, the girl I was with. Yeah, when you want me to bring her back? Is she out? So, no, he's like the lead because I like to bust people out, but we both love this girl, so I'm leave that one alone. And I'm like, okay, Rachel's running in line, so I'm like, so Rachel's in. He's like, yes. I'm like, okay, good.
Yeah.
So the three people,
because that's the reaction you should have.
So the three people I wanted to highlight, because I said there were 3 points I was trying to make. Ishmael, the audacity of the balls. You. That cooler heads prevail. You were the 6 degrees of separation. Like, no matter who didn't get along with who, everybody collectively loved you. Okay. 3.
Thanks, sweet.
Rachel
fucking Perez. Ugh.
The last, for the people listening.
Girl, if you ever watch this, I just want to say I love you.
For the last scene, the last show, which finished on Sunday, we were in the back, and there was a scene where Monster, the antagonist, I won't call him the antagonist, but he's
like the pro antagonist.
Yeah, the pro antagonist.
He's the villain at the same time as being like one of the main characters.
So for the people listening, I'm gonna draw a picture in your head. There's a guy whose nickname is Monster, only known as Monster in the play. He's breaking in a house because he's looking for money. So he's moving, he's turning drawers upside down. And he's done this scene over and over again where he tears the place apart looking for money. But the last show, there was a bottle of whiskey on the table, and he knocks the bottle over, and it shatters into a million fucking pieces. And everybody in the back is like, "The fuck? What the fuck was that?" So basically, Rachel Perez winds up in the house that he broke into, ends up getting raped. We're doing a rape scene. And when the rapist throws her on the ground, we didn't have, it was still the first act. We didn't have time to clean up the glass. So she got raped, a guy on top of her, just slapping her, violating her. And she's on her back, and under her back is shreds and shreds of glass.
I don't remember that.
Shreds and shreds of glass. Between the first and second act, Pam Price, your wife, the
concubine,
your concubine and your wife.
Because Mary Sabo. Oh yeah,
your concubine and your wife, Becker. What is her name? Rachel Becker.
No, Alicia Rachel Becker. She wasn't.
No, but she was part of the production team.
Gotcha.
Everybody has these tweezers, and they're removing pieces of glass from her back so she could do the second act. I'm like
horrified at all that.
And the whole time she's looking down, and everybody's surrounding her like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Rachel, me and Rachel are homies."
Yeah.
So she actually invited me to play volleyball somewhere. She runs near Columbia, meeting. She arranged a meeting, and me, I know everyone in volleyball, and I got to meet people I never met before in my life because she was there. So I hold her hand, and I'm like, "You all right? You all right, girl? Whatever." And everybody's like, so Rachel's like, "Listen, everybody just give her some space because she wants to do the second, she has to do the second act." So everyone starts leaving. So I go to leave, and Rachel just grabs my hand, just like leaves me there. And she's like, "Jason, you got to go." And I'm just like, she's got my hand, man. She and let me just do this. And then she lets go. I'll get the fuck out, So just Rachel fucking Perez.
I mean,
does this rape scene that was so real.
Yeah.
And I saw people in the audience fucking crying.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about that entire show is that we very, very, I don't know if it was as purposeful as I may have wanted it to be, like later in my professional career.
Yep.
But we tread the line of going too far.
Yep.
With how graphic it was, with how in your face it was.
Yeah.
In a way that I have only done in one other show ever in my career. And that is the reason that it was so impactful, is because we were like on that knife blade, and that is crazy. I don't remember any of that about Rachel.
It was the very last show.
Yeah.
And you probably didn't see it because you had 3 or 4 really big scenes.
Yeah.
And then you had like your own
Did
corner.
you watch this like earlier today? Like the old DVD?
No, I just
you got mind like a trap, man.
I can't remember what the fuck I ate last night, but I can remember my home phone number growing up. So that kind of long-term memory.
Yeah.
So Yeah, but you're right. As far as for the actors and predominantly mostly athletes that listen to the show, I want you to appreciate the audacity it is to be a mayor who's abusive to his wife, to have someone that's getting raped on top of glass. My job, I played a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
To hunt someone down
You and
by
Chris
knife point.
Bastianelli.
Yeah, and cut monster's throat.
Right.
At the end of the scene, dark scene,
Yep.
monster, Eugene Jones trusts me with a knife, military knife, and this and that, because there are choreography things. There are choreography no-notes. For people watching this, you never point a gun directly at someone. You point it close enough where whatever, because Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's kid got killed by a blank. Right. Got or wound up falling out the window because he I don't know, got popped in the eye by a blank. So but we crossed those lines. Like if we had a gun, we were pointing at someone. If we had a knife, we didn't choreography like simulate the cut. We got as close as we could to make it look so real. When he put me in charge, because I was ex-military, so he put me in charge of training the other hunters, and like we did fight scenes. And I was a big wrestling fan, so I showed someone how to throw a knee. Like you throw the knee here, right, and the person's face is. The audience is there, and the person's face is here. You throw the knee, and he rocks back. Right. He looks like he's gotten really good, but you have to be this close, and you're dangerously close to getting tagged for real. Yeah. So I mean, these are examples of how, like you said, at no point did we go over. Yeah, we shit got fucked up here and there, but no point did we go over. We tread the knife blade very carefully, and I was very fortunate to be in that show. Like I am so grateful, because I actually did a show shortly thereafter, right after I graduated, that was graphic in a similar way. Right. And it was like one of those where you're like cringing almost as an audience member, but you can't turn away from. And I think some of that is the most compelling of theater, because how do you change people if you don't affect them like on a soul level, right? I mean, I'll be the first to admit, I love going to a good cheesy musical. I love laughing and like forgetting about the world for a couple I'm a hours. Liar. I'm a liar with musicals. I say I hate them, and what am I doing in karaoke? I'm fucking singing musicals. You're singing musicals every night. But like shows like fucking A, that are just in your face to the point where it's extreme, where you're getting affected in that way. We did the audience justice. Yeah, we definitely did the playwright justice, because we thought that was her intention all along. Yeah. Susan Watson Turner, who directed the first production of The Wiz, she was in the audience the last show. Oh my gosh. There were just people all over the place, and because I had limited scenes, I had a chance to watch audience reactions. Like at the end, remember there's a scene. You might not. It's a long time ago. There's a scene where the butcher's showing her how to cut like a pig's throat that's painless, where there's no pain. Right. And like the law was coming after her son to hang him, gut him, do all kinds of funky shit. And there was a part where she says, "I know a way to do it that doesn't hurt." And this woman in the front row just started bawling, crying, because she remembered, and she knew what was gonna come. Right. And oh my God. Oh, it's so good. Wow. That's what for me, that is the most powerful theater. And the reason, in my opinion, that theater and its subsequent film and TV, that kind of stuff, that is why it exists in the first place. If you're gonna do a straight play, do that. Like you said, there's musicals. There's musicals take the most intimate part of the scene, where I'm like, Matt, I've been looking at you for a long time, and this is how I think. And now I'm gonna sing. Yeah. You know that it's been 10 years. Yeah. So this is one of the two plays where I had to play dark character. The other one I had Last Bridge by Wendy Kesselman. I had to play a Nazi. Yeah. So I had to play two Nazis, actually. One guy dropped out of the show, so I had to do this weird transition where I played a Nazi that didn't speak English. Mm-hmm. And then I had to play a Nazi that did, an older one, an officer that spoke like, the streetcar started running at midnight. Right. So that was a cool transition for me, but they were like, "That's a hell of a Nazi." I'm like, "Thanks." Tell it to my mom. That African American woman sitting over there. Yeah. I mean, I was like, there's some ironic things about the idea. My mom's blackness don't sneak up on you either. She's not, I'm not saying she go to night school get Mark Apps on anything, but she's pretty dark. I mean, I think there's something probably pretty powerful just in, and I'm sure that this is not the reason that you were cast in that role, but
in the idea that as a person who is African American mixed, playing a Nazi soldier is like, that's intense, man.
That was fun.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
I can't even believe I'm saying it, sir. Yeah.
I did a role right after college that was directed by my man Brian Reinhardt, who was one of the most phenomenal professors that I never got a chance to take class from at Marymount.
Bright minds.
Oh,
I had
again,
him.
he was so
for
incredible.
Script analysis, and he auditioned me. Him and Liz Swain were the ones auditioning.
He's incredible. I loved him. I did a show right after college. It was my first professional show after graduating. Was about bum fighting, where there was this thing in like the mid 2000s, especially, where a whole bunch of these really, really rich kids were paying homeless people to fight each other. This was a real fucking thing. This is a real fucking thing. It's crazy. They were paying people to fight each other, and they were filming it, and then they were selling the DVDs online. And so they were doing this as like, hey, I'll give you $20 if you fight this dude, or whoever wins the fight gets $100. And like these people were literally like fighting
for their lives,
fighting to the death over this stuff,
for their food,
right? They were fighting for their lives because, you know, the person who won also was alive still. The person who lost, maybe not, but also to get the money for food and stuff. It's so terrible.
There were similar things going on at Rikers Island as well. There were a gladiator thing going on.
I was fortunate to do this show after college that was about that. I played one of these kids who essentially like beat the shit out of homeless people or had them fight each other. And it is, again, one of the most powerful things. It was very, very like in your face. We had all these choreographed fights where we like broke arms and did this kind of stuff. And it was incredible. It was again an incredible piece of theater that made people uncomfortable enough where, and I'm not saying all theater should make you feel uncomfortable, but it made you feel uncomfortable. Like, why am I not doing something about this? And that was the point.
And that's something for its own sake.
It was incredible.
And again, when I knew who the playwright was, I was all in, because I actually saw the live production of Top Dog Underdog. It was Jeffrey Wright. It was Most Deaf. And that's what she won Pulitzer for best drama. Actually, Michael Jordan was in the theater too. Big old hoop earrings and shit. But
so UACT was incredible.
UACT was great. I did scene work with 7 guitars. I did Schoolboy.
Did you do
Floyd Barton?
Did you do the Athol Fugard tribute?
Nope.
Okay.
But I was there.
That was another incredible.
Well, before they fell apart, I was supposed to direct The Last Days of Judas.
Right, I remember.
Written by Stephen Adly Gorgeous.
Which is again an incredible show. So good.
I fell in love with that guy. That guy is awesome. Man.
I would say one of my biggest personal disappointments, and I am not gonna I am gonna take credit for this because I could have done more, is that I've lost touch with Ishmael. And I've tried. I've reached out to him through the only means that I personally had, which is, of course, like Facebook.
Right.
But as we're live streaming on Facebook. But like I reached out to him multiple times, and because he is so incredibly talented, I wanted to see him go out and make the world a better place through his vision. And I will always, always cherish having had worked with him. It's absolutely.
I can't imagine honestly, I can't imagine if that show was never done, like how that would make my full experience. I had 3 really good experiences. Year 1 was just fun because I had to learn. I was fresh. Right. Everybody else did high school acting, whatever, and this and that. But I played Kaniki in Greece like 15 years before I came back. Okay. So that was the first year where I got a respect for it, and I got the pleasure of being Jawan. You guys were just a great crowd.
We had a very good acting class. Nate Atkinson, Cara Del Rey.
Yeah. The second thing was like being put on acting probation. It hit me the hardest because I'm a returning adult student. I'm literally running back and forth, putting myself through school on this. And I'm to a point where I'm calling my ex-wife saying, please say you fucking believe in me, you know? And then the senior showcase, when I didn't get cast, I actually wrote, I hand wrote something I was going to put on the bulletin wall saying, does the faculty have a giant stick, preferably barbed, so I could have it run up my ass? This way the experience of being here would feel complete. And I put it on the wall.
That's intense.
And I left school and I went back and I took it off. I changed my mind. I took it off the wall.
Wow.
And the reason why I did that is because Ashley Almodovar, first year girl, absolute diva, has my heart and my soul. Ashley Almodovar was working in the office at the time. You remember she's doing reception?
Yeah. She was one of the student ambassadors.
She heard the deliberations. And all of them agreed that I fucking nailed it. My audition for senior showcase, and you have people on the faculty saying it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he was good. It doesn't matter. It's about this. It's about that. And she was just like, you know, she's like, I love you, Jay, but you're blacklisted. You know, so it's one of those things where I'm like, so I fucking did this whole time. I got people beating me down, and I got students distancing myself because they didn't want to be part of that. Right. Where now I have doubt, and finally I do something well, and I don't even get to hear that I was good, at least good.
That's so unfortunate. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
listen, in my life, before let me finish. Before I went to Marymount, I've been in situations of volleyball, the military. So many instances where I did everything right and I did many things with excellence, and then a bunch of people get in the roam, and just because they don't like me. So I've been in that situation before Marymount. So I didn't have a problem with that. The thing I had a problem with, I needed to hear that they were fucking wrong about me.
Right.
I needed to hear them say that we were wrong about you.
Yeah, that's
you
really.
know, so
I had a similar, I should say, not pleasant experience at my first school, and that's one of the reasons I left and transferred to Marymount, which was a much better fit for me.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly frustrating.
Yeah.
And
it sucks that I'm strawman Marymount like that.
Right.
I'm not.
Yeah.
It was the time of my life.
Yeah.
Fucking A was the time of my life, dude.
I am who I am because I went to that school. Yeah. Like there's like, of course, and all the things that have happened since then, but like I would not have lived in New York City. I would not have met my wife. I would not have had a successful acting career if not for the foundation that Marymount provided. And they are certainly not perfect, but again, like I go back to, it is a amazing school if it's the right school for you.
Yeah. It was the
that's
time.
really unfortunate, man.
Well, those are patches that I feel like I'm unfairly using as a straw man argument, but at the same time, if I don't mention it, I'm not being. I'm on. This is my podcast. I gotta be fucking. I was as a kid from Brooklyn. I gotta keep it real, you know. But we just cited like half a dozen things that we liked about the experience. You know, again, David Mold was the consummate professional. It didn't matter if he thought you were a good actor or not. He had a job to do.
Right.
Graduation night, the night before graduation, I told him, you belong in this school, and I pointed out professors who I thought didn't. He got upset at me, but I said, listen, this has to be said. You have to listen. You can disagree, but you
wouldn't be Jason if you didn't say that.
But nobody's going to tell you this,
right? Because
they worship you and they respect you, and I worship you and I respect you too. But nobody's going to tell you this because they don't have the. I don't know if it's about having the guts. They just don't want to. They don't want to leave an unfavorable impression. But I know you're not going to look at me unfavorable when I say this. You're going to disagree with me, but you're not going to think differently of me.
Right.
I told him Richard Niles belongs in a conservatory. He's one of the best acting professors out there, period. And he does tear you down and build you back up.
Yep.
But that is equipped for people who don't belong in college, where they have to fucking give you a grade.
Right.
I graduated with a 3.71. 3.57. Do you know the difference between cum laude and magna cum laude is? A punk motherfucker named Richard Niles, who, by the way, I call him that affectionately, because at the end, I'm telling you, he's a kid. He's from Brooklyn.
You know what's funny?
He went to school in Brooklyn.
It's funny that you brought that up in the idea that you're like, I graduated with 3.57. Because I'm applying to grad schools. I had to go back and like get my transcripts and all that kind of stuff. And I looked at my transcripts because I was like, I was certainly fortunate. I graduated with 3.75, and I went back and looked, and all of my B's in college were my fucking acting. They were my acting classes.
Look at your transcript. It's and Richard Niles gave me a C- and a B-. So it's and it's
That was like that was all my my acting 1 and acting 2 classes. And the thing that I find so ironic about that is that I went and had a professional career for 10 years.
Yeah.
And
well, in their defense, they're the first ones to tell you the grade don't mean shit.
Right.
The grade is what we feel at this time, your assessment. And and again, I respect them for that. And I respect Liz Swain. I love me some Kevin Connell.
Loved
Mark Ringer. Never had his class, but He was
You
nice
missed out,
enough.
man.
He was nice enough to. He was sitting by himself, and he looked like he wanted to be alone. But he was nice enough to indulge in a conversation about Shakespeare, which I didn't appreciate until year 3.
Yeah,
and the entire 4th year for the BFA is Shakespeare.
he is
right? So,
by far the smartest Shakespearean, like, research, whatever you want to call it,
and
ever
that, and
I've ever met.
And
like,
that section, you're probably right. But the history of the theater, I got to give it to Gordon Farrell. But
I didn't have him. I had Ringer for that and my cast.
But if we're looking for something as acute or focused, like if it's Shakespeare, got to give the nod to Ringer. But Gordon Farrell,
he was phenomenal.
Gordon Farrell was making a video game, writing a book called The Playwright's Vision, and directing and doing all this crazy shit all at the same time.
Yeah.
The guy,
I mean,
he didn't like me very much. He didn't like me because I fucking Spencer Grammer.
Yeah, I remember Spencer.
Daughter.
Yeah.
We had a midterm for his theater history, and there was Asian theater on or whatever. I'm like, we never covered this. And he asked the class, did you guys cover this? And then someone got along with me. I missed class. I skipped class the day they taught that. And then someone went along with me, yeah, I don't think we covered this. And Spencer's like, yes, we did. We covered it on this day and that way. And when she did that, and I lost a chunk of my grade in the midterm, I was in the elevator. I said, don't you ever fucking sell out on this a student again. I didn't mean to. I scared the fuck out of her. I said, I said, whatever it is, we don't offer each other up like that. Don't you ever fucking do that again. And when I'm in the elevator, other students are just like, holy shit, Jason, who's always in a good mood, just lost his shit at scaring this little girl. So, so when the midterm comes, guess what? Gordon knows I don't know. So he's like, I need you to move your desk over here. So I moved the desk, right? And he's like, can you move a little further? So I'm like, all right, I move a little further, right? And he's like, actually, can you face your desk towards the wall? And that's when I went Brooklyn. I said, nah, man, I ain't going with that one. I'm going to just sit over here, okay? And everyone just started laughing. So what happens is when the semester's over, I go to sing karaoke, Brother Jimmy's, Upper East Side.
Oh, my God.
Upper East Side. It's a
Brother
Wednesday
Jimmy's.
night, right?
Wow.
He goes up there and he sings. Oh, it's fucking Gordon Farrell. He don't want to say hi to me. Then I go up there and I sang Sweet Transvestite from the Rocky
Horror Picture Show.
And we were friends ever since.
Wow.
When I graduated, he did the Red Room productions in the Red Room. Every Woman Dances for Something. He wrote and directed, and he had me cast on that. And he said, I really love it.
Amazing, dude.
Yeah, so it was just like you said. You're like David Mull said. Your reputation starts
at
the day you say I want to be an actor.
Right.
So if you're a dick at Marymount, it's such a small world. Like you said, look to your left and the right. That guy's not an actor, but he might be a casting director. It's like, what do you remember about Matt? Oh, he was cool. What do you remember about Matt? Oh, he's a dick. Yeah. And 10 years from now, you could have been a dick 10 years ago. Exactly.
Yeah.
You could have been a dick 10 years ago, but you could be a nice guy now, and the only thing anyone remembers.
Yeah. What your first impression and your impression? I will say that I have been fortunate in my career, and I worked with a lot of different people. I worked in a lot of different places, and I was one of those people that just kind of knew everyone. People still reach out to me about like, hey, didn't you work with this person like 10 years ago? And I'm like, yeah, they were awesome. And I have definitely gotten some people not hired. I've definitely been like, do not hire this person. They are a consummate unprofessional. Right. And it's like, they're a fantastic actor. I can see why you want to bring them in. But I will tell you that spending 4 months in a tour with them was hell. Yeah. Every single day.
I'll name names again. Adam Toback, fucking A.
Yeah. I love that.
But one of the more talented actors, and that's school, but.
Yeah, and he's doing a lot right now with his career.
That's what I was gonna say. Please say that guy's gotten work. Please say.
He's making his own.
Please say that his douchism hasn't fucking sealed his own fate. But, no, he's. I
would say he's a particular personality. I personally, for me, I always loved him, but he became a real estate person, and that's became his career, which is great, and he's very good at that. But he's also, because of that, because he's also, he's an artist. Like, that's what he's always been. He made a documentary that won awards about his dad. That was very, very well received and very good. And he's also currently doing a podcast, not a podcast, a mini series, web series about being a fucking realtor in New York and all the insanity that goes into it. And it's hysterical. I'm so proud of him.
I'm proud of him too, because I never liked the way he treated other people. As far as how he treated me, he's always been.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's listening to this right now, he's like, Jay, what the fuck did I ever do to you? He's always treated me well, and I've always treated him well. I don't subscribe to this whole thing where like everyone gets a D- and they gotta earn A. I'm like, who says everybody's taking your fucking class, dick? You know, Sweet was like that. You know, I'm popping off everybody right now. No, because
bringing you back.
it gotta be real. It's like, and I never got along with those people because it's like, you know,
I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah, if I told you to go kick rocks for acting like a dick, with you know, it's not like I'm not in your world, you're in mine. I could tell you to go suck a dick, and you can't do anything to me. You can't beat me up. You can't do anything except go in the corner and cry. You know what I mean?
Or make your own podcast.
Yeah. No, but the only encounter I ever had with that kid, Matt Sweet, who's 4-year guy. He's talking about Golden Boys, but also talented.
I don't remember. I don't remember much about him.
He was actually doing rehearsing a scene. And I didn't know, with a guy named Trevor, who was in my second year class. And I said, "Hey, Trevor, what's good, man?" He's like, "Sorry, man, doing the scene." You know, they were concentrating on the scene, and I was like, "My bad." So I looked across, who he was doing the scene with, and Matt looks at me like this, and I just looked at him like, "All right, later, man." You know, I just looked at him like, "Why you
gotta be salty?"
No, but what do you think your look is doing right now? Are you gonna get up and do something? No, you're not. Stop acting like that look is supposed to tell me I'm supposed to go somewhere else. Because what if I don't? What can you do? Stop. Just stop with the little bad boy tough girl shit. You know, stop. So that's how I was back then. I'm chill now, but when I looked at him, I just went, "All right, man. Well, you get a pass.
You know nothing about me.
No, but you get a pass. I'm not gonna walk up and do one of those
head
off the top of your head, you know, and see what happens, you know, because where I'm from, if someone looks at you like that, and I said this last episode, I had Theo Brunner, AVP, whatever guy, and this SoCal thing when people are like blocking you or you get a hit past them, you did a stare across the net or whatever, and it's fun because it's friendly fire and there's a pecking order. But where I'm not about that life. I'm not even about that life the other way. Like where I grew up, I know where you grew up, you know who is and who isn't, and I know I'm not. But where I grew up, if you do that, you're fighting.
Yeah.
Don't do that. You know what? So, damn, that was a rant. Sorry. Man. And I'm back.
You're good.
So fuck. Tell me James Smith's thing again, as we're
sort of wrapping up that.
Yeah.
So it's Astronomy Club. James Third. He's part of an improv and sketch comedy troupe called Astronomy Club, and they have a awesome I highly recommend it. Web series, not web series. It's a Netflix series called Astronomy Club. It's the same name, and it's phenomenal. It's like 8 episodes. Highly recommend it. Like, go binge it. Yeah, it's awesome.
Tell me about your LSATs. You're like this.
Okay. Yeah.
Magnificent. Helping people get into grad school, making the world a better place.
Or encouraging them that this is not the journey for them. Yeah, man. I'll give you a little bit of like a rundown on what I've been doing the last. I don't know, 13 years since I graduated from Marymount. I was a professional actor for a bit. I was union in both AEA and SAG-AFTRA. I did my time, got into the unions. I toured a bunch. I did a bunch of, I did some phenomenal and some not phenomenal productions. One of the most phenomenal I had the pleasure of doing was also the one that paid me the littlest, of course, was The Diary of Anne Frank. And it was again one of those amazing shows.
Talk about meaningful theater.
Yeah, meaningful theater right there.
So I'm just fixing the game.
Oh, you're fine. So I was so fortunate to do that kind of stuff. Definitely a highlight. I also did Spring Awakening, the musical, and we did it in like a conservative Tennessee town, which was phenomenal. It was such an amazing production. The entire cast was so good. Nothing but just amazing memories from that show as well. And somewhere along the lines, I met my wife, and we started dating in early 2011. Started dating in early 2011, and yeah, we moved in with each other, and then we're like, hey, we should move across the country to where it's warm. We got married and moved to California within 3 months of each other, which was the poorest I have ever been, paying for a wedding and then moving across the country. When I moved out here, the intention was for, to continue pursuing acting, doing film and TV stuff, which I did for a bit. I had agents. I went to auditions for like Netflix regulars on Mindhunter and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
It was phenomenal. But I got out here right as the game for like pay to play was hitting its height.
Right. Yeah.
Like, hey, you in order to get cast on, CSI Los Angeles, you have to go to the casting director's workshop and pay them essentially $200 in order to audition for them, and then they will call you into a real audition for some under 5 bullshit. And I was like, it just turned me off of the industry so much. It turned me off of the industry when I was at final callbacks for like national commercials. And they were like, so how many Instagram followers do you have? And I was like, what are you even asking me that about? But that's the industry, unfortunately. That's the industry that
and that's where the industry's failing. Did it ever cross their mind if they can look at you and be like, wait, we can get this guy. If we get this guy, his Instagram following is going to be off the fucking page. It should be the other way around.
Yeah, that's not what they're interested in doing. They want the built-in audience that comes with you. So I kind of moved away from that. I went into the tech industry. I started working full-time at a tech startup that was a photography photo booth business. And I oversaw the manufacturing division of that and kind of worked my way up into the senior leadership of that company. Learned more than I ever learned in college. Those 4 years of working for LA Photo Party,
There it is.
working for LAPP was incredible. They are by far one of the best in the industry. And for me, working in that way was just incredible. I learned so much because my boss gave me the opportunity to fail because of the chance that I might succeed.
Right.
And like, I will take that with me forever. I will give people the opportunity to fail when I hire them in the future. So I was so fortunate to do that, but it was not what I wanted to do. It was a stopgap. It was my in between being an actor and figuring out what I wanted to do. Yeah. And so
I like stopgap better than pit stop.
Yeah, it wasn't a pit stop because I learned a ton there. Like, and I always knew that wasn't the final destination. But I was always, even since I was in like high school and middle school, always interested in politics and the political processes of our country and law and how that comes about. And it's always been like this pipe dream of running for office, going and being an elected official, helping legislate our laws, whatever it is, being a judge, I don't know, doing those kind of different things. And so I decided, hey, maybe it's the time. I've spent my time getting out of the acting world. Where do I want to get into next? And so I looked at, I was like, I think I want to go to law school because I was watching the Kavanaugh hearings and watching supposedly brilliant former prosecutors, and Kamala, my girl up there, she asked some fantastic questions. Yeah. But there's 21 members of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and I was like, what are you even asking him about? What are these questions that you're asking him about? And I was like, I want to ask questions. Mm-hmm. And so I looked at that as an opportunity of like, well, why don't I get off my ass and finally start doing something? So I started going down the law school route and going, hey, let me investigate this. Let me see if there's any reason that I should deviate. Right. Right. If whenever there's a choice, whenever there's a fork in the road, if there's an off ramp that I'm like, yep, that looks more inviting, I'm going to get on it. Every time I got to those opportunities, it made me more interested. It made me more invigorated. It made me, it made me more hungry. So the LSAT was the first sort of step in that journey. And I started researching. I started getting books. I started studying, doing that kind of stuff. I took a prep course and I started doing well. Not awesome, but I started doing well. And an opportunity came along for me to start working while I was still working at LA Photo Party, to start working as the TA for the class that I took. And so I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do this. And so it kind of let me back into the classroom, do that, get better, continue taking the LSAT. And so I took the LSAT a bunch. And somewhere along the lines, I really started to understand it. I'm like, it's not humble brag, but I put in the fucking work.
Dude, it's a podcast.
Yeah.
You have to talk about yourself.
I humble bragged. I'm going to humble brag a little bit. I put in the work. I
Mm-hmm.
studied for a year. I didn't watch Netflix. I didn't spend as much time with my wife as I enjoy spending time with her. But it paid off, and I scored in the 98th percentile for the LSAT. And so not only am I going to go to school for free, because that's the game that is law school. If you score really well, you can get full rides, and they will even actually pay you to go, which is just this whole insane thing.
Good.
But
there should be a reward for being in the 98th percentile.
Well, right, but I mean, it's all an admissions game for them. Raise their numbers, they get to charge more, so they're going to pay me to go there, so they can charge some other schmuck an extra $5,000 a year.
It's all right. You'll run for office and change that fucking
I'll change that.
There you go.
So yeah, I just started working for an LSAT company somewhere along the lines, and then I started tutoring, and I do that now. And I work for 3 different LSAT companies now that are all related.
Right.
Work for a company here in LA called Fox LSAT. I'm the operations manager and a TA for them. And like the entire organization is 3 people. So like I do all the bitch work is the way that I look at it, which I think Nathan would probably agree with. He teaches, like that's his job. His job is to teach. So I take care of everything else so he can teach the most effective way he can. I also am the operations manager for an online thing called the LSAT Demon, which is a cloud-based study source. And I also tutor for a company called Strategy Prep, which the 2 of those organizations made the LSAT Demon. And so it's kind of like all incestual, if you will. And then I just tutor on my own and help students, get the best score that they can. That's my job. My job is literally to teach them so they don't need me anymore.
That's awesome. And it's cool. And I don't know if you might take this as an insult or a compliment. I would love to have you in politics. I would love to have you run for office. I think some of your ideas are they're bright. And you are extremely lefty, but that doesn't mean you're not. You're
extremely lefty.
It doesn't mean you're unfair. You are.
Okay.
You are. You bleed blue.
I'm definitely a lefty. I wouldn't say I'm extreme.
Oh yeah, you're right. No, because extreme lefty would be.
Yeah, I'd be like
Bernie or somebody. Yeah.
No, I'd be way past Bernie if I. But yeah, no, I get your point.
I'll give you an example. You said in the middle of this podcast about like we were talking about things can't stay the same. You have to try and fail and see if it doesn't work or whatever. Barack Obama once said, have we made mistakes? Of course we have. That's what happens when you try. So that's one of my favorite quotes.
Yeah, you can't make mistakes. Well, you can definitely make mistakes if you don't try.
But I give an example of like we had this conversation. It's like of all the fucking people I can vote for, like we're pretty bright people. I'm above average for a city kid. So for me, a lot of questions like from my friends on the left and the right is like, why Tulsi Gabbard?
Right.
And it's for that very reason. And I had this 10 reason list, and I'll just give you an example, maybe 4 of them. When she had a problem with the environment or whatever, or climate change or what's going on in Hawaii, she ran for office.
Right.
When 9/11 happened, she enlisted in the military.
Right.
When, she wanted to affect people on a national scale, she ran for Congress or whatever. When she saw Trump, remember the whole president thing? When she saw that the Senate was the Congress is gonna
impeach,
and the Senate was gonna kick it and make his base stronger after they kick it. She voted present because just like you're going to learn in law school, they're going to be people that you think are guilty, but there's a process that you go through where you don't disqualify witnesses. Oh, sorry. It's taking a bath in the bath. Let me just turn the gain down on this so it doesn't pick it up. So make mistakes. A lot of my friends disagree with the president vote. When you and I talked, I actually said I wouldn't. Man, that's political suicide. Yeah, because now your party's going to think you would. Yeah. But the point I was trying to make is
I had a problem with it for a different reason.
Yeah, but the point I was trying to make was that she sees something wrong and she's doing something about it. And no one. I wish every single candidate up there had an agenda as visible as hers. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? When Kamala Harris, one of our favorite senators, called out Biden on his racial insensitivity, she was on that stage and she called Kamala out. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Which is also political suicide
Right.
because
I mean-
Jeff Zucker, who's the president and CEO of CNN, endorsed her. So
Right.
she hasn't been back on CNN since. She actually the last CNN town hall before this in January, she polled. She met the polling requirements and they still said no. So like she talked about, remember like the whole consequences thing when Trump said when she said it's Trump's prerogative.
Right.
She's suffering the consequences of her actions as well. But the point I was trying to make was you have a lot in common with someone you don't support because you think things cannot stay the fucking same. And sometimes you make the wrong choice and then sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
And that's where I was coming from with that.
Yeah. I don't know enough about Tulsi to like speak super intensely about her one way or the other.
But you do know enough about the Democratic Party that if there's a grassroots candidate that has movement, they're not. I'm not going to say they're going to oppose it. They're not going to do any favors.
They're not super open. I mean,
how many people sat on their hands when she got called a Russian plant?
Right, and I mean, I think that the unfortunate thing is that those kind of stories tar and feather a candidate, whether it's true or not.
It's true.
You know, I mean, maybe. Like, who knows? Maybe
I think it ruined Hillary's chances.
Right.
Look, some of that stuff was true, but a lot of it wasn't.
Right. All the stuff about the emails and Seth Rich and all that shit. Seth Rich is back in the news because of all the stuff with Julian Assange and his pardon. That was like earlier today. This stuff broke about Dana Rohrabacher offering a Trump pardon.
Well, Trump might think he might not have long to go. He's like, let me return the favor as much as I can.
So I don't know enough about Tulsi and her policies and that kind of stuff to definitively be like all gung-ho for her or not. For me, the present vote on impeachment, you are saying that it was like a stand. Like she took a stand by voting present.
Only because of what people don't know. The same day, she introduced a censure bill that's supposed to limit the powers of the president, and they all said no. And then all of a sudden,
the problem is that
all of a sudden, some other politicians say, "I get this great idea. Let's do a censure bill." And now they got the credit for it. The exact same day, which is the news did not cover.
The problem is that censure doesn't actually do anything. Like it's a reprimand. It's a slap on the wrist. It doesn't officially do anything. Impeachment is the method of doing something purposeful.
Right.
And for me, when she voted not yes or no, that is like hedging for me.
It is.
And watching that, I was just like, listen, girl,
she lost a lot of
stand by your convictions. You can't have it both ways. Either vote yes or no. Because this is probably one of the most important votes you'll ever make.
And I like you. And I at the time I agreed with you, but I also thought that the level of tribalism is what got us into this fucking mess in the first place. You're either with us or against us.
And my problem is like stand by your convictions.
Of course, I think he did it, but what you're charging him with, you know what I'm saying? How about illegal wars, illegal operations, pimping our soldiers, of all the things you could have impeached him, and of all the witnesses you could have called to make this stick.
The problem is,
I actually thought Nancy Pelosi was going to hold it in her pocket. I thought she wasn't going to submit it. I thought she was going to submit it.
I was hoping that she wouldn't, but.
That would have been, because I was dumb in that respect. I was like, that would have been the biggest gangster move on someone out there. I still think is losing her fucking mind.
I mean, she did hold it for a bit. She did hold it for a bit.
But that's what made me think when she held it.
Yeah, but then the Senate was like, no, we're going to go around you.
They're like, should have get off the pot.
Yeah, should have get off the pot. And so her hands, she lost her leverage. She had it for a little bit, but she lost it politically for a bit.
But I hope you get in the office, and I hope you
man.
do a lot of things that similar candidates like Barack is a junior senator. He got in because he saw something and he wanted to do something about it. I mean, everybody gets into this for the right reason. Even the most jaded politician we see in the middle of the end of their career, where we can take these things and either straw man it or their sample size is so big it's just fucking overwhelming. They all get into it for the right reasons, man. And I got you. I'll fucking. I'll volunteer campaign.
Yeah, my goal.
You might not want me. You might not want me there with my past, but
my goal is to. I'm going to law school this year, and the purpose for that for me is that I feel like there's probably been too few people that are making our legislation that actually have training in the law. And so
some of the questions they ask, you're just like, huh?
Well, it's not only that, but it's like, if you don't have a basic understanding of how the law works, because maybe you don't.
Right.
Maybe you're brilliant in some other way. We need brilliant people from across the spectrum.
Agreed.
We do not need a shit ton of lawyers and
No.
only lawyers creating our laws.
Nope.
But the people, like, we need brilliant doctors
Yeah.
to run for office because they have an expertise in an area that I certainly don't.
That'll qualify them
Right.
for office. Though,
Right.
Yeah.
But we have a few too many people who don't have
Right.
or any sort of legal thing, and they are writing our laws, and that's how we get a bill through reconciliation for the tax cuts that were literally like written and illegible in the margins. And like, what are you doing? So my goal is to go to law school and then do public service. I want to be a public advocate in my law career for 5 to 10 years. We'll see what happens there. And then somewhere when the time feels right to start running for office, probably in Virginia is my goal.
Virginia?
Yeah, I
Good
mean,
for you.
it's probably where I'm going to move for school and sort of set up shop.
It's a nice place to be.
It
my,
is.
My sister lives there.
Yeah.
She's a Afghan war vet, and she bought a townhouse out there.
Yeah.
And it's so weird how full circle I've come. Like, I grew up hating gay people. And then you just open your eyes, Yeah. My sister's gay. She's getting married, actually. She's
Awesome.
got a baby actually coming.
Woo.
My aunt's
Congrats.
gay. My aunt's gay. So it's so weird that, like,
be careful about who you hate. They'll end up in your family.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing, right?
Right?
You hate Puerto Ricans. Your daughter's gonna be living la vida loca.
Yeah. She's gonna end up marrying one. Yeah. That's how that works. Be careful who you hate, because they'll end up in your family.
Yeah.
Like there's
the same
no
thing with Gabbard. Her whole family is anti-gay. In fact, their family is centered around converting. I forget what that's called. Converting gay people to straight. What was that called?
Oh, it's
programming. What's that called?
No,
What the hell is that called?
Oh my gosh, I can't think of it right now. It's getting banned. Conversion therapy.
Yeah.
It took me a second. It's conversion therapy, and that's becoming more and more illegal, as it should be.
Fuck yeah, it should be. The only reason why I brought it up is because I take someone's past, and then if you tell me you're not that person, between that inciting incident that made you what you were and what you are now, where was your path? Use Gabbard as an example, right? They'll tell you the whole family's anti-gay. She had to serve in the military to realize, wait, that's the first gay person I ever met. Right. He's cool. He's cool. That's cool. Now all of a sudden, not only is she championing it, she got 100% rating from the Human Rights Organization, Human Rights Campaign. Yeah, which we both know is not just humans. It's gay, lesbian. It's
equality campaign and that kind of stuff.
Specifically for
that's actually what we, my wife and I, for our wedding favors, we donated to organizations that were important to us, and gave those things, like we gave out information as our wedding favors, because we were like, who wants a bag of chocolates? And the Human Rights Campaign, Campaign for Equality was one of them, and my wife picked a pit bull rescue because
I was actually just my next guy. I was just getting to that. I was on the Sports Debate Tuesday show talking about Michael Vick, right? You think about what he did. And how
anybody else would still be in jail.
No, but how dark that was. I don't know. You got Sarah Palin shooting at a fucking moose with an automatic weapon. Picture of a dead moose, right?
From a helicopter. But she's a celebrity too. Yeah. Celebrities get celebrity money.
She's a white celebrity. So
yeah.
Michael's black, right? So no, but think about the dark and atrocious act that he did, right? Now, that was a long time ago.
Even.
Well, yeah, because it was going on for a while.
Yeah.
No, but think about what has happened since then. He served time in a federal penitentiary. You got guys in the NFL that have raped. They haven't served as long as. They have guys in the NFL that have killed. They haven't served 3 years in a federal penitentiary. All right. He did not say it's only dog fighting. Why is Sarah Palin out there? He didn't. He ate it like he was supposed to. He served, and since he's gotten out, he's donated to the SPCA. He tours right now and talks about the wrong, how wrongheaded cruelty to domestic animals is. He tours and talks about what he did and why he did and why it was wrong and how
I'm
he's
learning
come
right
back.
now because I didn't know this.
He contributes. He has his own foundation, actually, that rescues sheltered animals. You could look that up later, too. Cool. So not only...
Good for him. I mean, make a change.
Look, some people will say since his incarceration, he's done more for animal rights than animal lovers have. All right? My own opinion, And I said it in the last podcast, the song I'm Coming Home, I know my kingdom awaits. They've forgiven my mistakes. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Tell the world I'm coming home. And that's how I felt about, because I'm a big fan of redemption, but I look at the path of consistency. Yeah. Again, like I said, I grew up hating gays, but what have I done? What have I done since I hated gay people? I've done, I'm chill. Yeah. I'm cool. I have friends. Volleyball in New York's a big world. There's a league for gay people. Yeah. On 18th Street, Humanities High School. It's the Wednesday League. I'm a setter. I was in that league. So yeah. So big time support. No hardcore activism, but understanding that when you have someone like me that was one way and another, it's easier to talk about it, because there's some people who are never like that, and they can't. And there's some levels where they can't talk about that or get other people to understand. Right. So I was a holy roller. Yeah. I was a fire and brimstone holy roller as a teenager.
And that's one of the reasons that I would assume. And assume makes ass out of you and me that Tulsi's family is probably the way it is because in Hawaii,
she grew up in a conservative family,
right. And Hawaii being is an incredibly liberal state for a lot of reasons, but there is also some very, very conservative ideals, especially towards sexuality in that state, and it is because of their roots. They have all these Christian ministries coming and missionaries coming, and a huge Mormon population in Hawaii. And amongst the native population, a lot of these things of like homosexuality were taught into them through missionaries and things of that nature. And so there is still a very, very large anti-gay sentiment in a lot of places in Hawaii. And of course, you go to Honolulu and you're on Waikiki Beach. That's one thing, but
I'm going in April. I'm going to Maui. Yeah.
Have you been?
Not Maui, but I was in Waikiki Beach because I was director of operations for LMU. LMU, we play in Hawaii.
Oh, amazing! Rainbow Warriors. So here's some things, because I love Hawaii.
Please,
I've been to. Here's Matt, the pictures. Matt, the tour guide. So I was very fortunate to go to Maui a couple years ago for my friend Michael's wedding. He's from Oahu, and there's two things. Two things that you can do and have to do to get the Maui experience.
What is it?
The first is the drive to Hana. You have to do the road to Hana, okay? And that's an all-day thing. You get up real early so that you get on the road before, because it's this winding little road that goes over something like 63 bridges.
Kelly Campbell, are you listening?
So the road to Hana, and it's not about the destination, it's about the drive.
Right.
And that is one of my favorite things about the road to Hana, because Hana is this tiny ass little fishing village that there's no reason to actually stop there.
No,
it's about the road there.
This nice little Chekhovian approach.
Yeah, it's the waterfalls that you pass. It's the bridges you go over. It's the black sand beaches that you can see on the way. It's the 7 sacred pools at the end of it that you can go and play in. But it is an incredible thing. And the way that you get there, download the Gypsy tour. Yeah. He has, there's Gypsy guides for all the Hawaiian Islands. Okay. But it's like a driving tour, and he'll tell you where to stop. He'll tell you where little detours are to go and check out off the main road. We saw this amazing lava church from the 1700s that everything in this little village was wiped out by a tsunami in the 1800s. This is the only building that still survives. It's incredible. There's all this amazing stuff. And then on the way back, you get a history tour. So the road to Hana, absolutely, you must do this. The other thing is you have to go up to Haleakala, which is the shield volcano. It's the bigger of the 2 shield volcanoes that make Maui. Right. And see the sunrise at 10,000 feet. Mm-hmm. It is an incredible, incredible experience. Now, I recommend the way that you get down is do a bike tour. We did ours through the, I think they're called the Sunrise Riders or something like that. Okay. But you go up to Haleakala, you see the sun rise over the clouds, over the Pacific Ocean, and it's just incredible, like one of the most breathtaking and fucking cold things you'll ever see, because it's like the wind as the sun comes up, it picks up, it's like 80 miles an hour at 10,000 feet. It's crazy.
Something you have to appreciate if you live on the beach, if you live near the beach.
Yeah. But taking the bike down is just incredible, because you don't pedal for like 10 miles because it's just downhill. It's scary. A little it's a little steep.
You're riding that brake. Yeah.
You're riding that brake. But it is one of the most special experiences that I've ever had. So definitely at least go up to Haleakala while you're there. It's amazing.
My man.
Yeah.
That is fucking awesome.
It's fucking phenomenal.
Well, fuck, man. Do we close up shop on that?
It's up to you, man. It's your podcast.
The cool thing, I got practice at 3:30. You're gonna give me a ride. Give me a ride to the beach after this.
Oh, I might.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to show you my office.
Oh, sweet, dude.
But
I'm into that.
Yeah, the reason is we had this thing on Thursday called American Junkie Night, where it's $5 personal pizza. Like since the day my kid was born, it's like this family tradition. But if I leave my car here, the kids see.
Oh yeah, I get you.
This and that. I usually walk down, but I'll
give you a ride.
I'm feeling for a ride, Matt DuMont. So
I'll give you a ride on my way out.
Yeah, so it's going to Hawaii. Gonna be definitely want to enjoy that trip.
Oh man!
Again, I was there last year. It was business and pleasure, because Kelly and I, her birthday's in April, so we went to Turtle Bay. We went to the north first for 3 days.
North Shore's awesome, Jason.
So we went out there ahead of LMU. Like John Mayer, he had my hotel room and this and that, and I'm like, listen, because they had a budget and they had X amount of players that they could take because of the budget. I'm like, there's a girl named Paige who wanted to go. I'm like, take Paige. I'll pay my own way. Me and Kelly, we'll go celebrate. We're going to celebrate and then drive south and then handle that business.
Right.
So,
I've been fortunate in my travels that I've gone to all 4 of the really populated Hawaiian islands. I've been to Oahu multiple times. It's wonderful. I love going up to the North Shore and the Kahuku shrimp trucks. You gotta love them. And that's awesome. I went to Maui for this wedding, which was also incredible. And you have to go see those 2 things. I just recently went to Kauai and the Big Island on one trip. And my favorite of all 4
was what?
Big Island, man.
Big Island?
Big Island is incredible.
Yeah.
There's just so much to explore there. It's so beautiful, and it's where all the islands have their sort of like they are niche ecosystems where you drive along and it completely changes, like jungle on one side, desert on the other. The Big Island is the most diverse of this because it's also the biggest. Right. It's bigger than all the other islands combined. It's massive. It's like this giant place. And it's just wonderful. I highly recommend. I can give you recs for all of them.
That's cool.
It's Matt's tourism guide.
Listen, I get the whole package with you. Yeah, for me, like the podcast, like I had a 10 volleyball player commitment, but I knew I wasn't going to go more the Joe Rogan route. Like if I had a hunter, we were going to talk about hunting. If I had theater performers, we were going to talk about theater performance. We more than covered that. And then some, particularly acutely at this elite school we had the privilege of taking part
of attending.
Yeah. And once again, I didn't know. If I knew, I probably would have choked my audition. I wouldn't have done so well. I was so unassuming coming in, just saying, okay, I'll learn that. And I also had training again from a girl who was in the program. She helped me prep. So yeah, man. So I got the package deal with Mr. DuMont.
Get the whole package with me. I will make whatever recs you want.
Matty D, man, it's been a pleasure. So listen, guys, for Miranda, my hostess with the most, my tech who had to cut out and train, for Matthew DuMont, thank you for listening to the episode. This episode is brought to you by Beach Volleyball National Events, by NY Varsity Sports, and by Arnold Summer Beach Volleyball, okay? Come check us out. We're north of the pier, Hermosa Beach, California. I'm Jason DeBias. Love all of yous. Come check out the Option Podcast on OptionVB.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify, and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear.